Now, I bet you want to know why Jay-Z and Beyonce's name keep popping up around the whole Diddy thing. Well, that's why I'm here. Now, first thing you gotta know is when somebody like Diddy gets taken down, things always start out as a rumor. Diddy has had rumors floating around for like decades. Well, Jay-Z had a problem. He right there in the corner, by the way. Jay-Z has had a few rumors himself, but more like speculation. People see Jay-Z in a picture of R. Kelly, they're like, I guess they both make music. Then Jay-Z with Harvey Weinstein. People are like, I guess they both do business. Then, of course, Jay-Z with Diddy. Now, hold on. Here's the thing. Jay-Z and Diddy go way back.
I'm back, it's boy FITT at the E, and today we're going to be taking a look at these TikTok videos. If you guys like this video, remember, let's get to 1,000 likes this video. If you like the chain, check the link down in the description. And the scariest part about this video is that 75% of you guys are not subscribed. We're going to be taking a look at way more than just TikToks on this channel. So if you want to stick around for the journey, make sure to sub.
A group of friends suddenly spotted a creature with large wings and glowing red eyes standing in the road. Terrified, they drove away, but the creature took flight and followed them. It swooped over them repeatedly, emitting a horrifying screech. They finally lost it, but were left shaken, convinced they had encountered something supernatural. This terrifying case became one of the most famous Mothman sightings. These unverified sightings began to spread fear throughout West Virginia. Now, most believe it was simply a local legend fueled by fear and hysteria. But with no concrete evidence, the Mothman remains an eerie mystery.
It's funny how we got 4K images of Mars before we got GTA 6. Nah, if you're asking me, bro, it kind of looks like Nevada. Like, I've been out to Vegas and like southern areas of the United States, like Texas. It's almost like you're expecting to see like a Dollar General just come up in a corner or something.
If you have an unsightly mole, you might think you can just cut it off yourself. But you actually shouldn't do this. You see, moles can sometimes extend deeper than what you see, often with roots that connect to blood vessels and nerves. Slicing it off yourself could cause serious bleeding, scarring, and even leave behind cancerous tissue. Instead, a dermatologist can safely remove it using techniques that won't harm you.
An 8-year-old girl bravely fought off a terrifying intruder who entered her home in the middle of the night wearing a clown mask. On the 15th of October, a scene unfolded in a small town like that from a horror film. At around 1:30 a.m., a man broke into a child's bedroom in Colorado. Police described the incident as an attempted child abduction, with the man entering the room in a dark hoodie and a cloth clown mask. Terrifyingly, the little girl was blindfolded and snatched off her bed as the man tried to take her from her bedroom. She was subject to quite a brutal attack by the intruder and bravely fought him off until he hit her over the head and knocked her out. Fortunately, it seems that he was spooked in the process of this and fled the scene. Now, it apparently took police over an hour to get to the incident at the property, but they did manage to gather vital evidence and then track the intruder down. They revealed his identity as 56-year-old Thomas Gallegos. They were able to arrest him and charge him with multiple serious offences such as burglary, assault, kidnapping, and child abuse. The little girl did sustain cuts and bruises and was obviously traumatized by the attack, but fortunately did live to tell the tale.
This is how rare your body actually is. Starting off, only 5% of people have tied tongues, so if you have this, you're pretty rare. Basically, this is where your tongue is tied to the bottom of your mouth, impacting your speech and eating. Next up is Morton's toe, and if you have this, you're probably pretty rare. Only 10% of the population has this, and this is where your index toe is bigger than your big toe. Okay, this next one is crazy. 1% of people actually have unbreakable bones. This is a genetic mutation which causes people's bones to be more dense than the average human. And one person who had this condition actually walked away from a car crash unharmed. Next, about 50% of people can fit their hand in their mouth. Sounds a bit high, so if you actually can, let me know. If you can tickle yourself, you're in the rare 7% of the population that can do this. About 10% of people suffer from eczema, which is a skin rash and is so annoying. And finally, we have the 16% of people that can make a roaring noise in their head by clenching their jaw.
I have a Mormon's toe. I think that's what he said, right? Where the index one is bigger than the big toe. Yeah, that's me. That's me. Yeah.
Crazy part is, most people believe that these 3 things will actually save your life. They don't. Let's pretend you're lost in the desert and you need water and you don't have any. So where are some places you can get water? One commonly held terrible piece of advice is to drink your own pee, because it's mostly made up of water, except there's 5% of that that's all made up of just waste from your body, and even though the urine might keep you alive a little bit longer, you'll ultimately die of kidney failure. So you don't drink your own pee. Instead, you head over to some cactus you see nearby because you remember reading or hearing in school that you can drink the water inside of cactus. Except, unless it's one really specific kind of cactus, you'll be drinking lots of alkaloids and chemicals that will make you viciously ill, and you'll start vomiting and you'll have diarrhea and you'll die from dehydration much faster. So as you're sitting there wondering what you're going to do next, a venomous snake bites you. And so you instinctively start sucking on the bite to remove the poison, but you can't because it goes right in your bloodstream, and all you'll do is die much faster from infection.
You know, it would have been nice if he actually told us what we should have done if we're in that situation, but I guess not. At least we know what we shouldn't do.
Have you ever seen the infamous picture from inside the basement of Fun Zone? And I'm gonna get into some of the backstory about what it is that we're actually looking at here, but what I can tell you is that when I did see it, my heart sunk. For some backstory, if you don't know what Fun Zone is, this is kind of a relic of the late 90s, early 2000s. It had lots of iterations over the years, but it was effectively like an indoor amusement park or arcade. It used to be like a really fun place to be. It had a handful of carnival rides, indoor roller coasters, all the works. So Fun Zone eventually did close down and they boarded up the doors. I guess the problem was that didn't stop people from breaking in. One of the eeriest things about this location was that they didn't sell off any of the equipment that was inside. It just kind of remained in place. Eventually, upon one of the break-ins where somebody went in, they made their way to the basement where they found an abandoned cell phone, and that is where we get this picture. Nobody really knows who took the photo or what really happened to them, but if you look a bit closer to the background, you will see the same thing that I do. You can see it if I make the photo brighter. Whoever was exploring Fun Zone, they came face to face with a person in that basement. Don't forget, if scary stories like this are of interest to you, make sure to go check them out right on the podcast.
We're always told to drink a lot of water throughout the day, but have you ever wondered what happens when you drink too much water? Well, 35-year-old Ashley Summers drank 64 ounces of water in a span of 20 minutes and passed away from water toxicity. Ashley, her husband, and 2 daughters were at Lake Freeman in Indiana when she began feeling dehydrated. So she drank 4 bottles of water because for some reason she wasn't able to quench her thirst. Ashley complained about having a horrible headache and she began to feel lightheaded. When she got home with her family, she passed out in the garage and she was taken to the hospital where the doctor said she had brain swelling. Ashley never woke up and she was pronounced dead from water toxicity. A toxicologist said that this is more likely to happen to someone who's extremely dehydrated, which will cause them to drink too much water and not enough sodium or electrolytes. So remember, bring more than just water on really hot days, especially if you're under the sun for a long period of time.
Here's why you might not want to visit your mom on her birthday. A man was stuck in traffic while driving home after visiting his mother for her birthday. The man was so frustrated that when the GPS told him to take a detour, he went right away, which might have been a mistake. His gas light then came on, so he decided to pull into this super bear in town to fill up his tank. So the man went in, pumped his gas, and when he went to pay, the clerk was super weird. He didn't acknowledge him and just gave him a creepy smile. The man then went outside and saw a woman just standing in the middle of the road and said, "Are you okay?" And the woman looked at him and said, "Ah, yes, we are happy here." The man was like, "What the?" and just drove out of there. Till a cop pulled him over and said, "Sir, you can't drive. Driving's illegal here." The man had had enough and literally just went pedal to the metal and zoomed out of there. When he got home, he was just so confused. The people looked real but didn't act human. He tried to research it but decided, next year I'm just sending my mom a card.
Y'all know when you know someone faking something and you just look at it and you're like, yo, this dude is faking it. I don't know why, but when he was telling that story, I couldn't even pay attention to the story.
Weird Nature Facts, Part 37. In proportion to body weight, koalas have one of the smallest brains of any mammal. They're so dumb that when presented with leaves on a flat surface instead of on branches, they are unable to recognize them as food and will not eat them. Dogs get sprayed by skunks so often because skunks raise their tails as a warning. Dogs see this as "come smell my butt," which is the exact opposite message of what the skunk is trying to send. In Germany, it is illegal to kill any vertebrate animal without proper reason. Because of this, all German animal shelters are no-kill. In the 1980s, Ken the orangutan escaped from his enclosure at the San Diego Zoo multiple times. His apparent goals were visiting other animals, taking photos with tourists, and throwing rocks at his orangutan rival.
Here are some disturbing facts about Disney. Many scenes in Toy Story are inspired by the horror movie The Shining. The voice actor that did Lilo in Lilo and Stitch also played the ghost girl in The Ring. The Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland feature real human skeletons. Also at Disneyland, there are vents that pump out artificial smells to keep you happy. After the release of Princess and the Frog, over 50 kids went to hospital for salmonella. They tried to kiss a frog. Do you know any other creepy things about Disney? Leave a comment.
Here's some of the creepiest videos on the internet. Part 10. The popular American rapper XXXTentacion was murdered on June 18th, 2018, and his death broke the hearts of many. Many people visited his memorial to leave gifts, but some people captured much more. The YouTube channel The Fam recorded a video trying to communicate with this beloved rapper, but accidentally captured this. But someone else got a lot more than this. The YouTube channel Selva the Explorer got to speak with him through her spirit box. Here's some things he had to say.
What is your favorite song that you ever recorded? What's the name of your favorite song? Are you in the white light? Is there anything else you want to tell us?
Imagine you're the parents or the family members of XXXTentacion, also known as Jose Dwayne Onfroy, and you just see two YouTubers just go to your son's grave just talking about, are you in the light or the dark?
Yeah, I don't know if this is the most disturbing, but this is definitely top 5. This is Malgas Island, and up to 60,000 of these birds called Cape Gannets will nest here. But don't worry, I'm gonna get to it. So normally these parents take turns, with one going out for food with the other staying behind to guard the chick. But because of overfishing, oftentimes both parents will go out for food, leaving the chick all alone on the island. Which wouldn't be a problem if they didn't know that. Because groups of these white pelicans will fly over to the islands and then walk around looking for any unsupervised gannet chicks, so that they can grab the baby birds and eat them alive while they're still struggling. And sometimes they'll just push the parents out the way and then swallow the newborn children right in front of them. It somehow gets worse. Those same pelicans will fly back to their nest and vomit the half-digested, recently murdered baby birds for the pelican chicks to eat. And because Cape Gannets have no real way to defend themselves, pelicans have no reason to stop. And since pelicans obviously don't have teeth, those chicks' last moments were spent suffocating while being digested alive by stomach acid, only to get regurgitated and eaten twice. Dinosaurs never went extinct. They just rebranded with feathers.
Some people actually believe that dinosaurs had feathers. Like, dinosaurs were never just scaly, they're actually feathery.
This is proof that we aren't alone. Okay, so in Wyoming, there's a strange mountain in the middle of nowhere with ridges on it, and no one seems to know why. Now, most people say that this is because of erosion. However, there's a theory behind this mountain that will absolutely shock you. And as the theory says, the real reason as to why this mountain has ridges is not because of erosion, but because of a giant bear. The said bear is said to be named Mato and is about 60 feet tall, weighing over 10 tons. And this story even goes as far back as the Stone Age, with drawings of a gigantic bear attacking tribes on wall caves. However, this creature has not been seen since.
So this video went viral sometime last year when this woman and her kids, along with her friend and her friend's kids, went out to eat after a doctor's appointment. While they sat at this restaurant, this random man came out of nowhere and tried to grab one of their daughters and pull her out of the restaurant. The two mothers had a total of 6 kids with them, and they were all seated on this table, but in front of them were 2 other young kids who happened to be Snapchatting while this whole thing went down, and and they caught this crazy moment. When the mother realized that this man had grabbed her daughter, she stood up right away and said, "Oh hell no." And then he said, "I'm just playing," and he let go of the little girl. There is no way this man is just playing around. He intended to take that little girl, and he probably thought it was going to be easy because there's just 2 moms with 6 kids at this table.
Humanoid robots are getting creepier by the day. A startup from Poland called Clone Robotics is on a mission to create some of the most human-like robots ever, even going as far as to use a musculoskeletal body using hydraulic tendon muscles covered in this stretchy skin-like fabric. And it's not just for show, because they claim that it is the strongest biomimetic hand in the world. Oh, and just like in the movies, their artificial muscles bleed if punctured. So yeah, things are getting serious now.
I thought we watched enough movies to know that we shouldn't be making like human advanced artificial intelligence.
Dark Things Disney Doesn't Want You to Know, Part 4. Today, let's talk about the mysterious disappearance of Rebecca Corium. Rebecca Corium was a 24-year-old worker on the Disney Wonder cruise ship. On March 22, 2011, while working on the cruise ship, Rebecca disappeared without a trace. This is one of the last photos taken of her, and it was from CCTV footage. At 5:45 a.m. that morning, footage revealed Rebecca talking on the phone with someone. She seemed visibly distressed. Now here's where it gets twisted. Many people believe that Disney knows exactly what happened to Rebecca, but are trying to cover up this whole thing. Let me explain. For starters, the captain of the ship said that Rebecca was just washed over by a big wave. They then gave Rebecca's parents a sandal and said that this was hers and it was retrieved from the deck that she was last seen on. Number 1, the sandal wasn't her size. Number 2, it wasn't her style. It was also revealed that Disney had edited the CCTV footage. Check out part 2 on this case for more information.
Did you know that they may have just exposed Satan's city? What's even more crazy is there's people living there right now and it's not hell. Whilst addressing a church in Revelation chapter 2 verse 13, Jesus exposes the city of Satan. Watch this. Jesus says, "I know where you live, a place where Satan sits enthroned." And he says that same place is where his faithful witness Antipas died. Saint Antipas was martyred by being burnt in a bronze bull in Geneva, Switzerland. Like, this literally happened under the rule and reign of Nero. And you're never gonna guess what's happening in Geneva, Switzerland right now. It's home to an organization called CERN, whose, logo just happens to be 666. And their goal in life is to develop a machine that can actually tear a hole between the natural and supernatural realm. And they just made a discovery of something called the God particle, but that's a video for another time. Subscribe now if you love Jesus.
This is the disturbing truth about Christmas. This is Black Peter, and he spends the whole year spying on kids, taking note on who has been good and who has been bad. Every single Christmas, Black Peter goes with Santa from house to house, and while Santa gives presents to the good kids, Black Peter punishes the bad ones, and this is what he does to them. At first, he will leave you a bag of twigs and a pile of coal. But if you have been really bad, Black Peter will snatch you from your bed and throw you into a sack. He will then kidnap you and take you to his coal mine, where he will chain you up and make you his slave. You will then work for him for the rest of your life, and if Black Peter ever gets sick of you, he will just simply eat you. So if this doesn't motivate you to make the nice list, then I don't know what will.
This is the story of the Silent Man. In 2014, a 51-year-old man in the UK named David Hampson decided to stand in the middle of a busy road and block the traffic. The incident was then reported and police officers arrived at the scene to see what was going on. But when they tried to talk to David to get him to move, he wouldn't say a word and just stood there, so they arrested him. From his arrest to when he was brought to court, David still remained completely silent and wouldn't even talk to his lawyer. Although since no one knew his motives and he hadn't actually hurt anyone, David was let go soon afterwards. But all he did was just go back to that same street and stand there, silent, once again. And he committed this same crime over and over again for the next 7 years, never saying a word to anyone. Even though he was jailed multiple times, every time he was released, he would just go back to that same street and do the exact same thing. All the doctors who had tried to help David failed because he refused to speak to them. And it was reported that the only time anyone had ever heard him speak was when he was giving food and water, and he said, "Thanks." Finally, in 2020, David was given 3.5 years in prison for his actions and is still yet to speak to anyone on why he did it.
They say bro does the same exact thing when he's out of prison. So just keep bro in prison.
If you believe in God, stay away from Halloween. Muslims, Christians, or anyone who believes in God, Halloween is a pagan festival. It involves evil spirits, jinns, and shaitan. It is forbidden for Muslims, and real Christians will know the truth. Please do not associate with it and stay away. Share this everywhere and spread awareness.
Alright guys, let's talk about Krampus. Krampus comes from old German folklore. He's the opposite of Santa Claus, and he punishes misbehaving children on Christmas. You might be asking, what does he do to punish these misbehaving children? He stuffs them in his bag and takes them back to his lair. He either eats them or tortures them. He also has a whole gang of minions that help him do this. Krampus is celebrated around many parts of Europe, and there have been a lot of petitions to ban him. This is because people are scared of the legend and they don't want to keep doing it. But every single year during Christmas time, there are always reports of Krampus sightings all over the place. Let me know what you guys think about Krampus in the comment section below.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew, Part 3. The first firefighter killed in 9/11 attacks was struck dead by a falling body in the courtyard. One of them was killed on his way in, and the other was killed on his way out. Right now, there are tiny little bugs on your face munching on your dead skin. Your bones are wet. If you don't have kids, you will break an unbroken line of children that has gone on for tens of millions of years. A scientist studying death asked a man who was about to be executed by a guillotine if he would blink after his head was chopped off. He ended up blinking for 30 seconds. Most laugh tracks for TV shows were recorded in the early 1950s, meaning that you hear dead people laugh. If you're attacked by a bear, it won't try to kill you like other predators. Instead, it'll just start eating you. One day, someone will mention you for the last time, then they'll never ever mention you again.
Here are the creepiest Christmas urban legends, part 1. Ever heard of the Yule Cat? This is an extremely creepy cat that's said to originate from Iceland. According to stories, the Yule Cat enjoys snacking on people during the holiday season. And what makes the Yule Cat even weirder is that it specifically targets people who haven't received any new clothing before Christmas Eve. Iceland is also home to Gryla. According to Iceland lore, Gryla is a giant ogress who leaves her cave in the mountains to feed on children during Christmas. To make the story even creepier, Gryla keeps the Yule Cat as a pet. What the hell is going on in Iceland? Then we have Belschnickel, and this one comes from Germany. According to people of the Rhine, Belschnickel is an old bearded man who visits children during the holidays with Santa Claus. If you were good that year, he'd give you cakes and candy. If you were bad, well, Belschnickel would pull out a switch and whip the children until they behaved. This is probably why Dwight from The Office loved him so much. There's also Krampus. This is one you've probably heard about from movies and books. In the Alpines, Krampus is a horned demonic figure who visits the homes of naughty children on December 5th and punishes them. In some versions of the story, he hits them with birch rods. In others, he straight up takes them back down to hell with him. The Germans definitely know how to scar kids for life.
Scary things hidden in Disney movies. In Mona, Olaf from Frozen appears in Mona's basket. In WALL-E, Rex from Toy Story All Alone, among the junk.
Here's the truth behind Dora the Explorer. You may think it's just some ordinary cartoon, but there's actually a big secret behind it. Dora the Explorer is actually blind, and here's proof. If you watch the show, you'll notice Dora never actually looks at what she's talking about. She always looks in another direction and doesn't even blink. This also explains why her parents make her take Boots everywhere, because Boots is actually a Secret Service animal. Even in this scene right here, Boots is counting the coins and she's not looking anywhere near that. And this explains why she always asks obvious questions to the audience.
Here's what famous cartoon characters would look like in real life, and the last one will freak you out. This is what Homer Simpson would look like as a real person. And this is a 3D rendering of Mario. Buzz Lightyear doesn't actually look too different in real life. And Bart Simpson seems to have a missing chin when he turns real. Stewie Griffin from Family Guy doesn't look too different. But SpongeBob SquarePants might freak you out.
Maps that will change the way you see the world. These cities are all still owed money from the Trump campaign. There are now over 50 countries generating over 50% of their electricity from renewable energy. This shows the employment rates for 15 to 29-year-olds in Europe. The darkest blue areas are over 80% and the darkest red areas are under 30%. This is how much much it costs to hold a prisoner in each state in the United States. In Arkansas, it only costs $23,000, but in Maine, it costs over $300,000. 33% of the entire country of Switzerland lives within 5 kilometers of the main train line that goes through the country. This map shows how population is dispersed through France, with the same amount of people living in the green as in the red. This map shows how many people by percentage in each country in Europe actually speak French. And this map is highlighting every city that was founded by the French in the United States.
These are scary cartoon truths that would terrify you, part 8. Okay, so the Teletubbies is a dark nightmare about genetically engineered slave creatures being systematically trained to become part of our society. The Teletubbies aren't in control of their own destiny, and 3 things control their day-to-day life. First is the voice, which is a tiny female voice that tells them when they could eat, sleep, say hello, or even say goodbye. The robotic voice comes from a speaker in the ground, hinting that something larger lies beneath. Next up is Nunu. He's a harmless vacuum cleaning robot who follows the Teletubbies and cleans up all the messes that they make, and also yelling at them for bad decisions. Nunu is just the watchdog of the Teletubbies. Finally is the pinwheel. Whenever the pinwheel starts to spin, the Teletubbies stop everything they're doing and run to the top of the hill to perform a ritual. People believe the Teletubbies is based on the end of the world.
Saudi Arabia has just said that the groundwork for what would become the largest structure on Earth is now 86% complete. Now, not only would it be large enough to fit 20 Empire State Buildings inside, but similar to the Las Vegas Sphere, in its center will be this spiral-shaped tower encased by a VR dome that essentially could create anything your mind could imagine, whether that be on Mars, under the ocean, balcony views of Pandora, and even whatever the hell these things are. So the question is, do you think they'll be able to complete this by 2030 or not?
An 11-year-old boy came across this girl buried underneath the sand, and this is what happened. A young boy named Connor Fitzgerald was building sandcastles with a couple of his friends at the Marina Dunes beach in California. The boys soon moved to digging holes in the sand and challenged each other to see who could dig the deepest. As Connor was digging his hole, he suddenly hit something with his right hand. He dug deeper and realized that it was a bag. He dug around the bag, grabbed it, pulled it out, and was shocked when he realized that the bag was still attached to its owner. Connor then dug back more sand to find a little girl buried underneath. He called out for help, but there were no adults around, so he single-handedly pulled her out of the sand. The little girl was completely limp and wasn't breathing. Connor then thought back to an episode of NCIS where he saw a character perform CPR. As he started the procedure, a young couple walking down the beach started sprinting toward them. An 11-year-old boy came across this girl buried underneath the sand, and this is what happened. Part 2. The people running toward them were the girl's parents. They were confused why a little boy was administering CPR to their daughter Alyssa, but they let him continue while they called the paramedics. It seemed as if Alyssa was breathing again, but only the paramedics could determine whether Connor performed the procedure correctly. When the ambulance arrived, they rushed her to the hospital and said that a sand cave had collapsed on her, and that if Connor hadn't performed CPR, she would have suffocated. Eventually, she made a complete recovery, and Connor was given a National Youth Hero Award for his brave actions.
Yo, give it up to Connor, bro. W-mans, bro. He literally just saved someone's life. That's like such a rare incident.
The very popular Ariana Grande is currently going viral for, let's just say, a very interesting reason. So for those of you that don't know, this is Ariana Grande's boyfriend right here behind me, and I really just want all of you to get a really good look at his face. Just once again, there he is. And now here's what Ariana Grande's brother looks like. Let me move out of the way really quick. Do you notice a difference between the both of them? Not really. A lot of people are starting to realize that Ariana Grande's brother and boyfriend literally look the same. Here's the both of them side by side. Once again, let me move out of the way. And the more and more I look at this picture right here, the more and more kind of just creepy it gets. So as more and more people are starting to find this out, a lot of people just cannot understand how Ariana Grande could date a guy that literally looks very similar to her brother. As you can see right here, just once again, they do look really similar. I'm just not going to lie with all of you. And I'm really curious to know your thoughts about all this.
I don't know. When I looked into both of their eyes, both of their eyes looked almost the exact same. Like, I don't know, man. Maybe it might be the same soul. So if you got this far in the video, remember to like the video. Our like goal is still 1,000 likes. We hit it our last video, so if you got this far, remember to like it. In my head, I'm thinking like, think about all the animals that just drink still water like that. I'm like, dude, all of that thing's right in their bodies.
Think tortoises are slow? Look at how they take care of this entire yard full of overgrown grass in 5 hours. We've sped it up so you don't have to step through it all. But for those that don't know, this is a thing in California and a lot of other places, maybe not a lot, but some other places. People put these tortoises in their yard and they're huge. And they live like a crazy long time, like 75 years, I think. But they eat grass, and like, if you don't have grass, that like, they feed it like lettuce and vegetables and stuff, but just riding each other. But they just completely take care of this overgrown yard in 5 hours. I should get me some of these and not have to cut my grass anymore. And these tortoises, I guess I heard that they can live like up to a year without water, and they can survive in places like where the ground gets above like 140 degrees.
Person that did that is braver than me, because I'm thinking like, bro, I feel like having a phone in general in North Korea is legal, bro. I feel like if I just whip out my phone, I'm already just in a death camp.
This is insane. 18 North Korean soldiers have gone AWOL on the border near Ukraine, right, with Russia. We need to break this down because a Ukrainian news site is citing intelligence sources saying that North Korean soldiers who are in Russia training have gone AWOL. The report goes on to say that 18 North Korean soldiers fled their positions somewhere on the border between Bryansk and Kursk regions on Russia, just 7 kilometers or about 4 miles away from the border with Ukraine. At this time, we have no idea why these North Korean soldiers went AWOL. But according to this source, the Russian forces are currently hunting them down while other commanders are trying to cover up the entire incident and hiding it from the North Command, or at least the higher command in Moscow. This just comes hours and days after it was announced that it's 10,000 troops that are training to fight in Ukraine, that North Korea is breaking up the roads in between North and South Korea for some unknown reason, and that the partnership between North Korea and Russia is just strengthening more and more. This cooperation between North Korea and Russia is going to get worse. I'll be sure to keep you guys updated, especially because North Korea is still providing Russia with tons and tons of weapons. A lot of them not working, but still, this is going to get worse. I'll be sure to keep you guys updated, so be sure to follow me for more.
Honestly, though, can you blame those North Korean soldiers? They're probably just like, dude, I'm trying to just chill with my family. That's why they just dip. And by the way, for those who don't know, AWOL means they just pretty much went missing. I'm pretty sure it means away without official leave or something like that. Like they just dipped. They're just like, I'm out of here. I can't blame them. Just hearing them destroy South Korea, the roads leading to South Korea, means that they're probably preparing for war. Like something big is gonna happen in the near future. So hey man, if you're still here in the US or wherever you are, just prepare for something crazy to happen in the next coming year.
When a 79-year-old Harvard lawyer says that there is a UFO base underneath this island right here, I didn't buy it at first. But then I did some more research on the island of Guadalupe, and it's suspicious as shit. The island off the coast of Baja California used to be a hotspot for cage diving with great white sharks, but in 2023, the Mexico government shut it down completely, citing conservation as the reason. Before it was closed, there were reports of strange lights and strange sounds coming from this island from guests that visited to go diving with the great white sharks. Because this island is so far away from light pollution and only about 150 people live here, you can see the sky really clear, and people reported that they would see strange lights moving in strange directions or moving way too fast. But that's not it. They would also see strange lights under the water, and they said sometimes they would follow the boats or move in directions that you wouldn't see a fish do. On top of all of that, visitors report that their electronics did not work properly on Island Guadalupe. Making it even more suspicious as shit, there is a magnetic anomaly on the seafloor beneath this island. It's actually labeled Anomaly 5A. You can look it up. Scientists say that it's been there for at least 12 million years. I don't know how the fuck they know that. Not only do we have a Harvard lawyer saying that a UFO base is located underneath this island, we have a magnetic anomaly, we have visitors who are researchers and divers and fishermen and all that saying that they see strange lights above it and below it. And then on top of that, we've got electronics don't work on this island.
This is the only place in the ocean you are banned from ever going to. One wrong move can send you to the afterlife in a split second. These are wind turbines in the ocean, or better known as a wind turbine farm. So what makes them so scary? Well, these wind turbines are generating well over 35 million volts of electricity. This is enough to power over 2 million homes a day. That electricity is all being carried by cables that run under the water. The electric current is so powerful, the cables produce a magnetic field underwater. This field drives aquatic life away from it, which makes the area lifeless. If someone were to crash into one, it would cause catastrophic damage to the nearby area, and you would be face to face with God in the matter of a split second. So next time you think about touring these giant fans, think twice.
Now, I bet you want to know why Jay-Z and Beyonce's name keep popping up around the whole Diddy thing. Well, that's why I'm here. Now, first thing you gotta know is when somebody like Diddy gets taken down, things always start out as a rumor. Diddy has had rumors floating around for like decades. Well, Jay-Z had a problem. He's right there in the corner, by the way. Jay-Z has had a few rumors himself, but more like speculation. People see Jay-Z in a picture of R. Kelly, they're like, I guess they both make music. Then Jay-Z with Harvey Weinstein. People are like, I guess they both do business. Then, of course, Jay-Z with Diddy. Now, hold on. Here's the thing. Jay-Z and Diddy go way back. Like, back to the days when they were both coming up. So you could say they might just have a lot of respect for each other. But on the other hand, people are like, well, if you've known each other that long, Jay-Z, you must have known what Diddy was on. But Jay-Z has always had a history of keeping quiet, which brings us to Aaliyah. Now, I'm sure y'all remember R. Kelly dated Aaliyah when she literally needed her parents' permission slip to get married. Now, if I remember correctly, her parents got the permission slip and said, marry who? And that's how this whole thing got exposed. Now, a lot of people in the industry actually knew about this relationship because they would work with R. Kelly. They would be in the studio with R. Kelly. Now, according to Dame Dash, who listened closely, was Jay-Z's first business partner and also dated Aaliyah when she was 21. He said this is how it went. He said he didn't want anything to do with R. Kelly because everyone knew what type of timing R. Kelly was on. He looks over at Jay-Z and Jay-Z's out here creating collab albums with R. Kelly. But then he saw why. For starters, everyone had a crush on Aaliyah. People were waiting down the clock until she turned 18. But Jay-Z decided to get a head start. Now, there was absolutely no proof that Jay-Z went after Aaliyah, but people were like, let me see another picture. But apparently Jay-Z wasn't successful and Dame Dash started dating her when she was 21. Now, what does this all have to do with Diddy? It's the secrets. It's the, like what happened to Diddy, making people wonder. Nas came out, well, he technically didn't come out and say this, but while he was having his legendary beef with Jay-Z, he's doing a radio interview and he's saying, it's weird that Jay-Z be working with people that need a permission slip to marry somebody, R. Kelly. But again, rumors, kind of like what was happening to Diddy. But then this lawyer comes out and says, boy, do I got some news for y'all. And here's where it starts to get wicked. Now, he's going after Diddy. Specifically, listen closely, anyone that Diddy might have done something to, or anyone who has watched Diddy do some of these things and stayed silent about it. Now, first of all, the lawyer's taking calls from anyone. So theoretically, anyone could just call trying to get some money saying Diddy did this to me, Diddy should pay me. But in the lawyer's defense, I'm sure he's looking for people with proof. Honestly, I don't know him. He could be trash. Anyway, what he said next is what got people interested. He said, and I got some names. He said some wild names. Some names that will blow your mind. He's selling this. He's saying, yo, y'all finna wild out when you hear these names. I'm not gonna say it now, but y'all finna wild out. So people are like, Now, in Beyonce's case, it's just because she's married to Jay-Z and she's been in the industry for like 20 years. People are like, you must have known something. But that's all people have. Now, in Jay-Z's defense, he's famously all about the money. As far as we've seen, he's always been around Diddy for like a public event or when money's involved. And the same could be said for all the other people he was around. He could have thought, oh, R. Kelly's huge right now. Let me do an album with him to boost my name up. Many people have come out saying Jay-Z is a cutthroat businessman, kind of like Bill Gates, who I actually think is a sociopath, but that's a story for another day. And cutthroat businessmen will cross any line and work with anyone to get what they want. Because at the end of the day, to them, it's just business. That being said, that doesn't make this a good thing. That's why Jay-Z can still be prosecuted for watching crimes happen but not saying anything about it. But at the end of the day, as you probably know, Jay-Z is rich. He's not going to jail for that. It would need an insane amount of evidence, and even then, he would still probably get off. But that doesn't really matter in some cases. A lot of times, reputation is the most important thing. So a lot of times, the courts will take a case they know they can't win or sign a deal just to get the rumor mill started and get people going, yo, why did Bill Cosby sign a deal? For those of you that don't know, Bill Cosby was arrested like 20 years before the big, allegations came out. They told him, just tell us you did it and we won't broadcast this. He said, absolutely. I need to save my reputation. People started asking questions. Boom, boom, boom. 20 years later, he goes to jail. But he actually did get out because the cops did say they were going to keep his confession low key, but then they used it against him 20 years later. But anyway, back to Jay-Z. At the end of the day, this could go any way. The thing is, Diddy's sloppy. He was bound to get caught. Jay-Z, not sloppy. So he would be a tough one to catch. But on the other hand, the FBI is pretty good at their jobs. And remember that lawyer from earlier that's going against Diddy and is gathering all those names on his alleged accomplices? Well, he also said that he gave a lot of his information to the FBI. And if Jay-Z's name pops up, he's in trouble, because how the FBI works is they'll take that information and they'll put it in a little vault with all the other information they might have on Jay-Z. When it's enough to lock him up, that's when they'll come out. So if you see the words FBI and Jay-Z in the same sentence, it's a wrap. I don't know. I feel like Jay-Z definitely knew what was going on with that Diddy situation because he was around him a lot. But also, I do feel like he was also like just a businessman where, like, he puts a business first because he's trying to get what he's trying to get to. But I don't know. We'll see in the future if Jay-Z was a part of anything Diddy-wise. So let's look out for that.
I love McDonald's. I love jobs. I like to see good jobs. And I think it's inappropriate when somebody puts down all over the place that she worked at McDonald's. It was a big part of her resume that she worked at McDonald's, how tough a job it was. She specifically worked at the French fry, where they make the French fries, and she talked about the heat. It was so tough. She never worked at McDonald's. McDonald's just confirmed that again, by the way. She never worked at McDonald's. In other words, she's lying Kamala.
Joe's going to help you with the bag.
Jojo,
right?
you're an expert at this, huh? Let's go.
Okay, President Trump, so for our first order that's going out the window, we're going to need 3 medium fries. So would you like to put the medium fries in the bag?
I think so, yeah. So
right,
we'll do that.
Put 3, so we're going to start
Because
from
you know
this
who's
side.
taking these, right? Mine. Do they ever ask for more salt?
Sometimes.
Supposing we want some extra salt, can we just go like that?
We will give them salt packets.
Watch this sucker. I love salt. Wait a minute, I spilled some. I'm very superstitious. Now it's over the left shoulder. Now I'm okay. Let's go.
All right, yep. So we're going to start from this side,
Yeah,
okay?
fine. Okay, put them in standing up, right?
Correct.
Jojo, you're an expert at this, huh?
Yes.
How long have you done this? How long have you been here?
I've been working McDonald's 10 plus.
10 plus? Wow. All different jobs?
Yes.
She doing a good job?
Does an excellent job.
She better, right? Yeah, she's beautiful. Let's
you.
go.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
How many would you put in a bag like this? Like 6 you could? 6 mediums?
5 is fine.
5?
5 will fit the most. First order, get 3 medium fries, and they're waiting for you.
Okay, very good. Let's go. Oh, I see. Now I'm going to see that. Oh, that's your customer out there.
Yes.
Wow, that's pretty good. Okay, let's say. You believe this? Look at this guy. He's a MAGA guy all the way.
Okay, so for his first order, yup.
Well, that's a good-looking group. Hello, everybody. This is not a normal situation, is it, huh? How are you? What a good-looking family. How did you produce those good-looking kids? Give me, oh, they look like the wife. They look like the wife. How are you? Nice to see you. That's great. Thank you, man. Thank you very much. Thank you. And there'll be no charge. Trump is paying for it. Is that okay?
2024.
Oh, you're doing some extra stuff.
Oh, okay, great.
This is all on Trump.
Oh, all on Trump.
I'm allowed to do that, right?
Yes.
Huh?
Let's check and make sure it's
Okay.
everything you said it would be.
It better be. It's going to be the best you ever. I made it myself.
You're the man. Make America great.
That's your order. Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good time. Have a good time. That's great, isn't it? How cute is it?
Yo, that's so weird. That seems like an episode from The Office. Like, that doesn't even seem real. Yo, that's hilarious. Yo, he opened the window and I was like, why is there people screaming? First, like, I thought it was something low-key, but apparently the whole county probably knew about it. That's scary. Like, imagine someone just pull up on the window just like, oh, Trump, bow. What is the Secret Service gonna do? They can't do nothing.
The happiest man on death row, and his story will make you cry. In 1936, a 23-year-old man was arrested for sleeping in an illegal area. But Joe was a mentally disabled homeless man, and he really didn't know what was going on. So he went with the officers anyway. But what Joe didn't know is that those officers are about to change his life forever. 12 days earlier, 2 twin girls were actually murdered by a guy with a hatchet. And since the officers had no idea who it was, they decided to pin the attack on Joe. And since Joe was mentally challenged, they made him confess to the crimes without actually knowing what he did. And the victims even said that Joe looked nothing like the man. But Joe ended up taking the fall for the crime that he didn't even commit. But on death row, Joe was extremely happy and every single person in there loved him. And right here you can see him giving away his trains right before he was executed. Joe requested ice cream for his last meal and his last words were, "No, Joe will not die."
Crazy facts about cigarettes. 1 cigarette can reduce your lifespan up to 11 minutes. Out of 10 smokers, 9 started before age 18. A smoker's life expectancy is 10 years less than a non-smoker. When a cigarette is burned, 7,000 chemicals are activated. Nauru has the highest smoking rate at 52%.
Well, here in 2024, people don't really smoke cigarettes. I mean, people do, but like not really. There's no really cigarettes. It's just e-vapes. Like, I personally don't e-vape, at least not nicotine. I wonder what the statistics on the e-cigs, the vapes.
If you see this in the ocean, walk away immediately. This is a whirlpool in the ocean, and they are one of the most scariest things that can happen in the ocean. Whirlpools are basically like inverse tornadoes, and they will suck you up in less than 17 seconds. Why do they happen? Well, whirlpools form when the currents of the ocean collide in opposite directions. The force of the two currents spiral down into the ocean, which forms the whirlpool. Here is a demonstration of what happens inside a whirlpool. As you can see, the toilet paper is rapidly pulled into the water from the whirlpool. If you're in a boat in the ocean and you see a large-scale whirlpool, it could pull your boat in and flip it over, and you will be pulled under the water where you will be stuck and likely drown. Although we think of whirlpools mostly being in the ocean, they can appear in any body of water. So next time you're out in water, be on the lookout for one of these, or it could cost you your life.
Did you know that they might have just found one of the gates to hell? This is the deepest man-made hole on the planet. It goes 7.5 miles down and it took 19 years to dig. And many strange things have been discovered during the dig. But the craziest thing was when they lowered a microphone down the hole and they caught this on audio. Many people think the hole penetrated one of the gates to hell, and that's what allowed the screams of the dead to be heard. And what's super interesting about this video is so many people who have visions of hell say that they get taken into
Your Odds of Dying Part 1 by number of people. Dog attack 1 in 86,781. Drowning 1 in 1,128. Falling over 1 in 106. Preventable causes of death 1 in 24. Cancer 1 in 7.
He pretty much just said that we were just about to die from either cancer or heart. I'm pretty sure the leading cause of death right now is heart disease. So cancer or heart disease, like pick your poison.
Creepiest urban legend from each country. Canada. Wendigo. England.
I don't need a lot. Coffee's only a dime.
Bloody Mary.
Did you know that Cardi B said that her music activates demons? Watch this.
I didn't want her to do this song, Shake It, or like any drill songs, because it's like these songs are activating like these demons.
If you believe Jesus is more powerful than the devil, then type Jesus is Lord in the comments and subscribe for more. And watch the video that I pinned about Billie Eilish showing her demon.
Things that almost no humans can do, part I'm not sure, and if you can, then you're bloody weird. This is where you bend your thumb back onto your hand like that. Only 1% of humans can actually do this. Do you want this video if you can do it?
North Korea are actually doing it. Today, they have officially begun blowing up all roads and railways connecting them to South Korea. And this really marks a pretty substantial turning point, because for the longest time, reunification of the two countries has always been the stated goal for Kim Jong-un. But this year, everything changed. He changed the constitution to designate them as principal enemy. They obviously had their trash balloon wars. We saw that they started building a wall by the border, and now they're literally blowing up all inter-Korean roads and railways to completely separate the two countries.
Gruesome Facts You Didn't Know, Part 208. In the year 2000, the Trapholt Museum in Denmark featured an art piece titled Helena and El Pescador. The art piece featured 10 functional blenders filled with goldfish, giving the visitors the gruesome option of turning them on. It was a battle of the viewer's own conscience, and at least one man turned on a blender, killing 2 of the fish. In 2007, a movie theater in the US accidentally screened The Hills Have Eyes 2 instead of The Last Mimsy. The opening scene horrifically shows a naked chained up woman giving birth to a deformed baby. Children were traumatized and parents were offered free tickets as compensation. The Aldgate Pump in London was a long-time public watering hole that tapped into London's underground streams since the 1200s. In 1860, the water was noted as being bright, sparkling, and with a fine taste. Turned out that the taste was due to the underground stream running through several graveyards. The water had been collecting decaying organic matter and calcium from the bones of the dead. This resulted in the deaths of hundreds of people.
The movie compensation one is crazy. So you tell me you traumatized my kids and the best you can offer me is a free ticket.
3 animals you are glad are extinct, and the last one, it will shock you. Number 1, the Titanoba. This massive snake gets up to 50 feet long and can weigh up to 2,500 pounds. During its time, it was the apex predator, and it would strangle every single one of the animals to death. Number 2, the Deinosuchus. This mega crocodile can weigh up to 10,000 pounds and it can get up to 39 feet long. T-Rex bones were found with bite marks from this animal, meaning often they would battle it out. But before I tell you the most terrifying one, if you want to get paid just for walking, I got you. Because this app pays you for every step you take, and I've already earned 100 today. So press right here and start earning. Number 3 is the Ratzilla. Based on the fossils that were found, they could get up to 10 feet long, and some of them were about the size of a bowl. And their teeth were up to 1 foot long. Can you imagine if one of these suckers bit you? Thankfully, all these animals went extinct a long time ago, but they're all super terrifying, so I'm happy.
This is the hotel room Liam was staying in when he fell from his balcony in a hotel in Buenos Aires. A hotel worker actually called police to tell them that someone was breaking everything in the room and that they were drunk and on drugs. When I tell you they said that the room was completely trashed, this is an example of what the room was filled with. This is one of the last photos they have of Liam before everything happened and he smashed his laptop in the hotel lobby. Now, one thing that I wanted to mention is that people are really pissed off right now because TMZ actually posted Liam's lifeless body on their social media and their website. Liam posted this Snapchat right before his death with his girlfriend, which people were a little confused because she's in this video, but in her TikTok video, she posts that she went back to Miami a day before he posted this. So people were just confused, like, was she there or was she not? But this was probably just an old video that he posted on that day. This is the TikTok video I'm talking about. Kate posted this 3 days ago and Liam passed away yesterday, so people were kind of confused how he posted a video on his Snapchat with her yesterday if she wasn't there. A new statement revealed that during his fall from the 3rd floor balcony, his skull cracked, which actually caused his death. And they're also saying that his fall was no accident, but that he intended to jump off. Liam has been pretty open about his struggles with addiction as well as depression, which people are speculating that this may have been a contributor as to why this happened.
A fall like that should hurt badly. They said he cracked his skull. And what people don't understand is, like, dude, if you post, you don't have to post a video instantly. There's a lot of times on this channel, I'll make a video literally last week and post it today. You know what I'm saying? Not this video. This video is getting made today and posted today. But you don't gotta post stuff instantly. So like, it's easy to throw people off with that. Also, if you got this far in the video, please like the video. The more likes that you guys give this video, the farther it does get pushed. And I've also been trying to keep the clips very up to date and new with what's currently going on. And you know what's funny? People also said that the Liam, him dying, has something to do with Beyonce. And we're gonna look at that later in the video.
Fun fact. In 2015, the US federal government seized around $5 billion in assets from citizens, and in that same year, criminals only stole around $3.5 billion in assets. The US federal government also seized more assets in 2014 and 2019 than criminals stole. This is due to the Civil Asset Forfeiture Reform Act, which was meant to break up the flow of cash and assets to drug cartels, but has essentially given the police a license to steal. It says if the police believe assets in your possession, whether it be cash, real estate, cars, or an iPad, was involved in or was acquired through criminal activity, they have the right to seize it, and then you need to prove to them that you got it legally. The craziest part is they don't even have to charge you with a crime to take your stuff. In 2021, a drug-sniffing dog at a Dallas airport found $100,000 in cash in a woman's suitcase, and the police seized the cash, but didn't charge the woman with any crime, saying she could get it back in court. But this was a rare case. Most cash seizures are under $1,000, but the cost to fight a seizure in court is usually much higher.
So basically, he's saying if they seize your money, you're
This is the face of a threat to national security. This otter's a fugitive of the law for the crime of boardjacking surfers in the ocean and then using them as chew toys. See, you're laughing. You're laughing now, because I said otters and you think it's cute, but imagine getting pressed by a predatory plush toy with a vice grip for a mouth. But how do we even get here? With everything I've said, sea otters are naturally afraid of people and will go out of their way to avoid us. So the story goes, an otter named 723 was found abandoned and orphaned, but was rescued, rehabilitated, and released back into the wild. Here's the problem though, pretty privileged, as in people kept feeding 723 repeatedly to the point where the The same otter that should have been people shy was now going up to people looking for handouts. Eventually 723 was recaptured, and this time they found that people weren't the only ones interested in her, because she was pregnant and she would give birth to daughter 841. But this time the caretakers learned, basically dressing like they just raided Darth Vader's closet, poncho masks and all. Also, 841 wouldn't lose her fear of humans. It didn't work. Literally less than a year after being released, there were reports of an otter going up to surfers and climbing on surfboards. That's right, it was someone's disobedient ass daughter. And 841 would attack surfboards like they owed her money. Like, you see that bite? That's a bite of malice. Remember, this is the same animal that can bite through a clam. 841 was a menace in 2023, but eventually the surfboard assaults stopped until she popped out again this year, this time with a hellspawn of her own. Yep, she has a kid, meaning this surfboard beef's guaranteed another generation. Especially since there have been several attempts to capture her, but there's nothing about an outlaw otter that's easy. She's on the run and swim. But yeah, when people tell you not to feed wild animals, this is exactly why. I swear y'all play house with a wild animal, but then be Pikachu in the face when they start wilding. Also, and I'm telling y'all right now, if she bites one person, she's getting put on her shirt expeditiously. Moral of the story, the worst thing a wild animal can do is lose its fear of humans. That in Santa Cruz is harboring a weapon of otter destruction.
You have to hear this. A Missouri man who lives inside of a cemetery actually saw the Grim Reaper. He said that he was in his house watching TV at about 3 o'clock in the morning when he heard a huge crash outside.
Oh my gosh.
Soon after, he heard sirens and
I decided to step out to see what was happening. I walked through the graveyard like a dumbass.
He saw cop cars,
Damn it, man.
firefighters, and an ambulance arriving. He walked through the
I wish he would have
cemetery
tagged me
to
in
get a
this
better
shit.
view of what was going on. As he looked down from the top of the hill, he saw that it was a horrific car accident, a head-on collision between 2 cars, during which one of the drivers actually died at the scene.
He got it closer
After
to
watching
exactly
the
what I
police and
said than the other
paramedics
guy,
do
but he
their
left
work,
out the part
he
where I
decided
scared
to
the
start
cop.
heading home. But then, all of the sudden,
And
he
when I
heard something
jumped in
drop
bed with
down from
Amber,
the tree beside
pulled the
him.
covers
He
up
turned
over my
around
head.
to see what it was, and standing right in front of him was a strange, gray, faceless humanoid figure. His heart jumped up into his throat and he
did a good
abruptly
job, man.
beelined it back home. He continued to hear this creature
I only look
behind
like
him, but he never
sort of
looked back.
dumbass.
He got home and immediately locked the doors.
It's actually hilarious. I did not expect that dude to randomly just pop out of nowhere. He said, "It's me." Yo, that's funny, man.
Reason why I don't use public restroom.
No public bathrooms could be hiding a deadly secret in plain sight. Recently, investigators in California discovered a shocking trend. People getting seriously ill or worse after using public restroom toilet paper. The reason drug users are reportedly going into these bathrooms, using needles and then cleaning them off by sticking them into the sides of the toilet paper rolls. This contaminates the toilet paper with blood, drug residue, and other harmful substances, all hidden from view when unsuspecting people grab the toilet paper. They're unknowingly exposed to the dangerous contaminants. As the puncture marks are often concealed by the toilet paper casing, specialists now recommend using toilet seat covers instead of the provided toilet paper in public restrooms for safety. The punctures are subtle often on the side, making them impossible to see at a glance. It's a hidden hazard no one expects.
I'm like, that is just so sick. Like, I'm like, dude, why are you using your needle, puncturing it? And again, I mean, and to be fair to them, they don't know that's what it's doing. But like, still, dude, that's kind of weird, man. Like, do that somewhere else.
Scariest mythical creatures in the world. From Japan. Tick tick. From Puerto Rico. Chupacabra. From the ocean. Cthulhu. From Arizona. Skinwalker. From the ocean. Mermaid. From Canada. Wendigo.
The name of the game is The Other Mother. You should win this game, no one will ever lie to you again. At least they can't. Play this game, go in front of your mirror with a lit candle. On the mirror, Other Mother. After doing this, cover your eyes, do not look in the mirror, because now you summon the Other Mother, also known as Mother May I. We'll ask you to do 5 things, but before you do it, make sure you say Mother May I. Say comb your hair. We'll ask you to brush your teeth. She'll then tell you to have dinner with her. and then she'll tell you to go to bed. Whenever she asks you to do any of these, make sure you say "Mother, may I" before you do it. Should I go live and play this game? Heart this video, follow my account.
Everyone is going crazy after people communicate in a dream for the first time ever. A company called REM Space has designed this technology to allow you to communicate during a dream. Now, 2 people were both put into a lucid dream by scientists, and they were able to communicate fully inside this dream. But how? So both of the people were in bed at their own homes, and they were both synced up to this crazy tech that this company has. Now, when one of them went to sleep and entered the lucid dream, the computer generated a word and then put the other person into a lucid dream. When they both then woke up, they confirmed the same word, of course, meaning that the first person had communicated that word to the other person because there's no other way they would have known it, showing, of course, that you can communicate during a dream. Now, of course, this is only early days with this technology, but the fact that this was possible is crazy. And the people who developed it said this is going to open a whole new gateway of businesses and companies who will be able to sell things for the dream world, probably including games, multiplayer games and stuff. Like, honestly, it's mental. We're one step closer. This is going to get a lot crazier. I'll keep you updated.
Yeah. We looked at that the last video, but when he said multiplayer, the last dude ain't saying nothing about no multiplayer gameplay and dreams. Like, what the
This film might have one of the most batshit crazy endings you'll see throughout the entire year. What? So I'm fresh out of Smile 2, one of the most highly anticipated sequels of the entire year. And I'm gonna let you in on a secret. I'm not the biggest fan of Smile 1. You got me. I liked it conceptually, you know, with the whole crazy smiling demon, but it was a little too heavily reliant on jump scares like the 2018 Cavs roster with LeBron. The original nearly made my heart explode. So when I came to this, I was very cautious, and I'm happy to say I think it's better than the first for me. I think I've fallen in love with the concept of having these horror movies be in concerts and having these fake pop stars make original songs, because I'm eating that shit up. I got the Sky Riley EP playing in my car on the way home. It makes for such intriguing circumstances we can put our characters through, especially since our main character is a pop star. She has the whole public eye viewing her constantly, and this demon is messing with her head, so she's seeing smiles constantly. It's perfect. Now, if there's one thing that these films entail, you're going to get a stellar lead performance. Naomi Scott, I've been with you since Lemonade Mouth. I knew you were a superstar then. You are a superstar now. No exaggeration, Naomi Scott is brilliant in this film. Like, oh my God. The way we just watch her mentally deteriorate and become literally insane because of this smiling demon, like, I was just in awe. As far as the scares, it's just like its predecessor. Prepare your heart. You're going to hear a lot of, like, it's going to get, that's on me. I should have done that. That's on me. But you get my point. There were times where I was actively praying, please stop doing the same set piece over and over with someone going into a room. It gets really silent, and then you just hear a loud jolt of noise. Like, we could do better. And they do. There are points where there's really cool body horror, Lovecraftian horror, psychological, mental gymnastics going on. Like, it was cool stuff when they did that. And I think that same sentiment applies to the original, where the last 15 minutes is probably the best part of the film because it is so insane, bonkers stuff. And when it does that stuff in this one, it's just great. Since I did mention psychological horror, I should explain that this film plays a lot more tricks on the main character's mind than the first one. There's times where you have no clue what is real, and it might be a dream sequence or something, and that can be a bit of a cop-out, especially when we get to the second half of this film, but I'll allow it. Mainly due to the fact that the ending of this film is insane. Like, I leaned forward in my seat when I watched that on the screen. I was like, okay, I rate it. I should say, I don't know if they use this concept to its fullest potential as far as this pop star that has so many eyes on her, right? And she has this curse. And I felt like we could have gotten even more creative with the scares rather than just going in these dark, empty rooms of her house and getting jump scared. We could have, like, used more social media. She has so many eyes on her. Oh, no. I'm just really anti-jump scare. Like, you're gonna make my heart palpitate. And I'm blaming you. It's fun, though. I enjoy it. I think if you're a fan of the first, you're probably gonna love this one. And Naomi Scott, OG since Lemonade Mouth, I love you.
Yeah, for sure. The first Smile, I was a fan of it. I didn't see the second one yet. I was supposed to see it last night, actually, but I did something else. I'm gonna watch Smile 2 and Terrifier 3 this week. I'm gonna let y'all know in upcoming videos if I liked it or not. If you've seen Terrifier 3 or Smile 2, let me know your thoughts about it in the comments.
This is how people thought our world would be 100 years ago. Okay, firstly, people 100 years ago predicted that we would have roofs over our cities to help protect us from weather. And talking about weather, they also thought that we would have weather control machines that would push the storm clouds away. This isn't a bad idea, but wouldn't the storm clouds just go into another city? Next, this is bizarre. People really thought we would be fishing from the other way around. Now, this would be pretty cool. By 2021, people predicted that we would have space elevators that would make space travel cheap and easy. Moving on, instead of car taxis, people 100 years ago thought we would have flying taxis that would help us get to our destinations. If that wasn't wild enough, they thought we would be walking on water with help from our own individual air balloons. Finally, people thought in today's time that we would be able to transport almost whole cities just by using trains.
I bet we'd probably make the same wrong predictions for 100 years from now.
This is a true horrifying story, part 39. The birth of Satan, Iblis. In other sacred texts, he's known as Lucifer. Non-Muslims refer to him as a fallen angel, but Muslims believe that he was never an angel. Angels are made from nur. Iblis was made from fire. Therefore, he is a jinn. He is the biggest jinn, the strongest jinn. And God had so much love for Iblis that he lifted him and he was valued amongst the angels. And then Adam was created, the first human being. Iblis was jealous. God ordered all beings to do sajda for Adam. Out of all beings, Iblis was the only one that refused. And he said, I was made from fire. This being was made from dirt. I will prove to you that Bani Adam is not the righteous being. Adam, Eve, Iblis, and the angels all lived in paradise. Everyone was banned to eat fruit from a specific tree. Iblis manipulated Adam and Eve and they ate from that tree. They had to face consequences, so they were all kicked out of heaven. And that is why people call Iblis a fallen angel. He was never an angel. Iblis asked God if he can have an eternal life, so he can prove that humans are sinners. And that's his task. This is what he lives by. This is the birth of Satan. He gathered the shaitans, and now he has an army. He is the leader of all demons, and he will be the only being on earth that dies last. Iblis today sits on a throne. Nobody knows where he's located. However, in an authentic hadith sahih, the Prophet said that his throne is on water. So we don't know where, but we do know that he's somewhere far in the ocean. There's a short story of a French Arab woman that was possessed by a very powerful jinn for many years. The toughest sheikhs carried exorcisms to treat this woman. But before they kicked the demon out, the sheikhs wanted to ask a few questions. They asked the jinn, where is Iblis located? Without a hesitation, the jinn responds, we visit Iblis in the waters of the Bermuda Triangle. Some scientists have said, but still did not prove, that the Bermuda Triangle has a magnetic field that caused all these ships and planes to disappear. Now that's just a theory. Now legitimately speaking, a demon has spoken, and he exposed the location of where his leader possibly stays. But could it be Iblis? It is far beyond a question mark. It is in fact a section in the ocean that will kill you if entered.
A warning is now being issued for the rise of the XL Bully cats, and people are being urged not to buy them. The mutant breed is being created by breeders in the US by mixing the gene that causes hairlessness in Sphinx cats with the gene that is responsible for short legs in Munchkin cats. And now they are spreading to the UK after being bred to resemble the XL Bully dog, which as we all know was banned in the country last year. The reason animal experts are urging people not to buy them is because they suffer from a number of serious health issues. Their short legs make it harder for them to jump, put them at a disadvantage if attacked, and can lead to painful arthritis. They have no whiskers, which can cause problems with communication and navigation. Their lack of fur gives them limited ability to regulate their body temperature and can even get burnt when out in the sun. And experts even say that this breed is likely to have a life expectancy at least 6 years shorter than the average cat. They're urging all cat owners to put health over aesthetics and not to drive this experimental breed.
An XL Bully cat? What the hell? Would you guys get one of those? Let me know your thoughts in the comments about that.
If you have frozen waffles in your freezer, you need to hear this. So there's currently a waffle recall. Now this recall is due to the risk of listeria. Now this recall includes dozens of different waffle brands sold at places like Walmart, Target, Publix, and more. Now, almost every frozen waffle brand that you would buy from those stores is affected by this recall. So the safest thing you, your friends, your family can do right now is just not eat frozen waffles. Now, if you did recently eat frozen waffles and you develop flu-like symptoms, you might want to go get checked out. And if you do happen to have a brand of frozen waffles that have been recalled, you can take them back to the store you got them from in exchange for credit.
I'm out in the prime cut of the big green. Behind me is Ed and Rowdy. If I retreat, I may be hurt, I may be killed.
This man was eaten alive by a bear. This is Timothy Treadwell, also known as the Grizzly Man. And guys, Timothy had a serious problem. He was obsessed with bears. He spent most of his times around bears, and before long, he became extremely comfortable with them. He would actually walk up to the bears and pet them as if they were a dog. And for whatever reason, the bears didn't attack him. He then felt like he was one of them, and he felt like they welcomed him into their environment. But guys, in October 2003, Timothy decided to push his luck one last time. He flew to Alaska to spend time with the bears as he prepared for their hibernation. Worse, he brought his girlfriend along, even though people warned him not to. Bears are known to be aggressive during that time of the year, but Timothy laughed it off, saying that he was cool with the bears. Timothy and his girlfriend then set up camp in the place called the Grizzly Maze, but they had no weapons, no bear spray, nothing to protect themselves. And a week later, when the pilot came to pick them up, he saw a massive bear pacing back and forth through their campsite. Sensing danger, the pilot quickly flew away and called the park rangers. And when the park rangers arrived, they made a gruesome discovery. They found the deceased body of Timothy and his girlfriend. The remains were scattered all around their campsite. However, this wasn't the most horrifying part of their discovery. As they were picking up the body parts, one of the park rangers discovered a camera inside the tent that had a 6-minute tape on it. The video had no visuals, but it did have some audio. The park rangers then played the clip, and for 6 minutes they heard crisp clear audio of Timothy and his girlfriend being eaten alive.
Apparently the audio was so bad they had to delete it and remake like a similar version of it. So I'm about to play the audio. If you don't want to hear it, you could probably skip. I'll probably put a time frame in it. Yeah, my bad. YouTube actually said I can't put that in the video. So honestly, if you want to look it up, just look up Grizzly Man audio death tape. Like, I can't play it in the video, sorry. Tell me why someone in the comments said this is unbearable.
All countries in the world have collectively agreed that no one nation can own Antarctica, governed by the Antarctic Treaty of 1959, declaring it a land of peace and scientific research. Never been broken, even during times of war, which makes people think they may be hiding something down there. Iron-rich waters are sporadically released from the Taylor Glacier, which looks like blood, but it's actually just the high iron content reacting with the oxygen, which turns it red. On numerous occasions throughout the 40s, 50s, even up until the 90s and recently, military expeditions have reported to have seen unknown flying objects in the sky. Silver, smooth, usually disc-shaped crafts that move in sporadic patterns. Similar descriptions to the UAPs that have been declassified lately, so I don't know, maybe this is where the aliens are at. Multiple videos and satellite views of several caves appearing to go deep within the icy surface of the South Pole, claimed to be the entrances to the Hollow Earth and the Kingdom of Agartha, as explained in Admiral Richard Byrd's diary, among many, many other similar accounts. Pyramid-shaped mountains found everywhere that are completely natural and totally not an indicator of an advanced civilization that may have existed thousands of years ago. More mountains, this time in the shape of an alien-looking face, kinda similar to the face monument on Mars we saw decades ago that was later covered up as a case of pareidolia, the human tendency to see faces in everyday objects. Which it very well might be, but like, damn, does this look like something more to me? Several mysteriously named areas around Antarctica, like Rothschild Island or Rockefeller Plateau, said to just be named after the famous billionaires, but theories surrounding them suggest these to be meeting places for the rich and powerful, where they discuss their evil plans far from anyone else. Some suggesting that it may even be the distant cousin of a certain other disgraced island where horrible acts were performed. Strange, deep blue shards of ice, rumored to have been studied by top-secret research teams at McMurdo Station. Said to be extremely cold, close to absolute zero, very light, slightly flexible, and doesn't melt but just continuously shrinks until it disappears. Many stories claim it to be pieces of what is infamously known as the ice wall, or part of the dome that covers our planet in the, pancake Earth theory. This guy, Carl Robert Dish, was a scientist stationed in a research base down there who stepped out and mysteriously vanished on May 8th, 1965. No one knows what happened to him, but the strangest part of this story is that his last known footprints led out into the middle of the Antarctic wasteland for some reason and then abruptly stopped with no trace of his body anywhere. Almost like he was somehow lifted up into the sky. Bottom of the iceberg right here. Antarctica is actually home to a race of demigod beings who control and created us. Extraterrestrial entities that came from the sky the ancient Sumerians referred to as the Anunnaki, and we typically see depicted with wings in ancient cave art and carvings. Top-ranking world officials and elites meet and work with them in ultra-secure, top secret classified bases beneath the ice, which a few ex-Navy officers actually did blow the whistle on, where they control and manipulate all global events, deciding what happens next on the world stage. Stationed in Antarctica to be as far away from the rest of us as possible and continue manipulating the fate of the world from the shadows.
Antarctica is definitely one of those weird like countries. I don't even really know too much about it. I just know it was Iceland, but like now apparently there's like a lot of hidden things over there, so I don't know, that's kind of scary.
I'll have to say thank you to Beyonce, just that way we keep the dance community safe. Ooh. Everybody, Beyonce, you got great music. We all love to dance to it. We all love you. Anyways.
My artist of my life is Beyonce in this album for me. We f***ing adore you. You are our light.
Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time. One of the best videos of all time.
Thank you to Beyonce. Beyonce, woo, thank you so much. You changed my life.
Thank you, Beyonce. You're amazing. Yeah.
The fact that Beyonce made a country record changed the game. So thank you.
Beyonce.
If you made it this far in the video, previously when I was talking about the Liam One Direction dude that fell into his death, they were saying he ain't thanked Beyonce. Apparently there's this thing going around, like if you don't thank Beyonce, like you will die or something like that. Like I don't know what that's about, but you guys can look into it. It's like this weird conspiracy theory that like all artists who don't thank Beyonce end up like dead or something. Like it's crazy. So a lot of people think that the One Direction dude didn't thank Beyonce and that's how that happened, but I personally don't think that's true.
Did you know the only person who snowboarded down Mount Everest attempted to do it a second time and he was never seen again? I didn't know this. I thought the person who snowboarded down Mount Everest was alive and well, but he attempted to do the north side of Mount Everest. And I was like, whoa! And I found out he was never seen or heard from again. This is the north face of Mount Everest. I mean this in the, like, how do I gently go about this? How? Like, what was the original plan? Because this looks like just straight drop off. Like, is there any incline up here? How would he have done this? Do people actually climb up this way to get to Mount Everest? Because how would you? Okay, maybe you could climb because it's more controlled and steady, but when you're snowboarding, like, you're just... Yeah, I stared at this for a good like 30 seconds and I was like, dude, there's no way. It just looks like straight drop down. Like there's no slope at all to go down. Yeah.
Yeah, that boy's guaranteed gone, bro. I'm sorry, dude.
I need the phones, guys. I need the phones. I need the phones. I need the phones. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And Quincy, I know you have two phones, Quincy. Oh, there you go. That's what I love. Yeah. Just Glow. So proud of you, Just Glow. Look at that. Got all the phones. Do I have everybody's phone?
Yo, Jay-Z snatched that phone so quick. That's how you know Jay-Z low-key has something to do with it too. I'm not gonna lie. It's like Diddy and Jay-Z go hand in hand. Although he's married to literally a superstar. Like you see, look at like y'all saw how Jay-Z snatched that dude's phone, bro. Like, nah, bro. I know the allegation against that kid is wild, bro.
Tell me about something that will forever blow your mind. Andrew Dawson. Andrew's story will forever leave me with huge questions. He was posting normal, goofy, everyday content.
I don't think you can park there.
It seemed like he had such a big sense of humor, and then everything changed when he posted this video that literally changed his life. He was just driving down the road one day and he thought he saw a giant on top of this mountain. So he pulls out his phone to record it and he's zooming in and you can see what appears to be a really large person or a giant. The original viewers of the video said that he was too shaky. They couldn't tell what was going on. A lot of people weren't believing him.
Why do you say I have Parkinson's? Blah, blah, blah.
He really believed that he saw a giant. So he was kind of freaking out and he wanted to investigate. And of course, the TikTok community was like hyping him up and encouraging him to search for more answers. He posted several videos explaining why the quality was so low, like he was zooming in so far. It's hard to be zoomed in while recording so far away. He's joking around with people telling them to just rent him a helicopter, buy him a helicopter so he can actually get good footage and see if the giant is still there. He also mentions that he tried to get back up to the side of the mountain, but there was like a CIA agent there and they were doing some sort of environmental project and that he was trespassing, so he needed to leave. He thought that was kind of weird, so he decided to wake up really early in the morning and go back in hopes that nobody would be there and he'd be able to make it up the side of that mountain. Things are already kind of weird, but it gets even weirder. He's driving back towards that same mountain again, and he says he sees something in the sky. And now Andrew was thinking that he's seeing a UFO in the sky. Like, what is this light? He later sees 2 helicopters flying in the sky and they're extracting something. You can literally see that this helicopter is taking something really large. Like they took that down from the side of the mountain. He tries to go up the mountain again, and that's when he runs into this car. You could hear the tone in his voice when he's asking the person if he can go up and they're telling him no. He sounds like he knows he messed up. Like he shouldn't have gone up the side of that mountain, but he's so curious and he's like fully invested at this point. In his next upload, he's showing that there's a car outside of his house and it looks to be the exact same car that he saw on the side of the mountain. He runs outside yelling, he's trying to figure out what's going on, and the car just drives off. Next, he uploads a video where he seems so out of character. His hands are tucked in his pockets, he's nervous, his eyes are shifting, and he's just not being himself. It doesn't fit his previous videos. Also, the lighting and how he's backed up against the wall, it seems almost forced. And then he posts this video.
You might not see me post ever again.
He also says that his videos are not fake. He uploads another video showing that same mountain, but now there's some sort of like fort or building on top of it. And the building just appeared like out of nowhere overnight. And that's it. There's no more uploads on his account. I think everybody is thinking the same thing, right? Like we're all thinking that he saw something he shouldn't have seen. He talked about it and now he's gone. And that's when his wife creates a post from her own TikTok account where she's saying RIP Andrew, and she's tagging him and she says, I miss you and I love you. People thought that he was faking everything, like beginning to start. And then somebody was able to find his obituary. His wife continuously was being harassed and she ended up saying that it's not what you're thinking, that he just passed from natural causes and everybody just needs to leave it alone. And then she would upload other things that seemed like it kind of contradicted that. Like somebody had mentioned to her, wear purple in your next video if you're in danger. And her next video, she was wearing purple. If you do fall down the Andrew Dawson rabbit hole, please be respectful. Do not go and spam his wife. Let her live her life. I don't think we'll ever get answers about Andrew Dawson. I think that we'll always remain curious and mind blown.
Yeah, nah, that is a crazy rabbit hole. I remember hearing about that story a while back, but yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it was too much coincidences. And me personally, I'm not a big coincidence person, so like in my head it was just like something happened or something happened, you know what I'm saying? Apparently they were saying like Bob Marley got killed by the CIA, so maybe they did the same thing to him, you know what I'm saying? Inject him with something and then he got sick or something. I don't know, man. The CIA, they have some crazy technology. Apparently they were trying to make like a heart attack gun. So if they're trying to make a heart attack gun and that's like declassified, imagine all the things that they have made that's still classified, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just got to think outside the box and just be like, you know, I would not doubt that.
For the first time ever, people have successfully communicated during their dreams. So the way that this was able to happen is scientists successfully induced 2 different people into a lucid dream. Now during this lucid dream, both of the people sleeping were able to successfully exchange messages with each other. Now this was able to be done with specially designed equipment, and it brings us one step closer to possibly having multiplayer dreams. Now the way this whole process worked was actually really interesting. So both of the participants were sleeping at their homes, having their brain waves and some other data tracked. Now when it was detected that one of the participants entered a lucid dream, a random word was generated and sent to the participant via earbuds. The participant then repeated the word in their dream, and then repeating this word was then tracked and stored in a server. After this, the second participant entered a lucid dream. They then received the message stored in the server from the first participant, and when they woke up, they confirmed the word and proved to the world for the first time in history that we can actually communicate during our dreams.
Nah, that's insane. The only problem was that they had too much outside interference, but the fact that that's even slightly possible proves that there's something definitely just bigger than what we can see in true reality.
Guys, I'm here to give you also some interesting facts. Here we go. This is an Akelteki. It's a famous breed of riding horse that's known for its beauty and shining metallic coat. Unlike most members of the cat family, tigers actually enjoy water. They can swim well and can be found soaking in streams and pools of water to cool off. In 2008, it was discovered that a 56-year-old crime reporter named Vlado Teneski, who was reporting on gruesome killings that were occurring, was actually the serial killer himself. This is the original Ronald McDonald from 1963. That's worth a nightmare. When a person lies, they experience an increase in temperature around the nose. This is known as the Pinocchio effect. There's a micronation that's located in the state of Nevada called Molossia that was founded by a man named Kevin Baugh that consists entirely of just his house, front, and backyard. Here are some more amazing facts that you didn't know. In 1997, a 17-year-old merino sheep named Shrek in New Zealand ran away and hid in a cave for 7 years. When he was finally found in 2004, it had gone unsheared for so long that it had accumulated 60 pounds of wool on its body, enough to make 20 suits, earning it celebrity status in the country. There's a town in Norway called Hell that literally freezes over every winter. In 1997, there was a short-lived cable television network called the Puppy Channel, and all that it did for 3 years was broadcast footage of puppies playing. A Brooklyn-based artist named Zaria Foreman became famous for only using her fingers to create mind-blowingly realistic paintings of icebergs. The AT&T Stadium in Texas, formerly known as the Cowboy Stadium, uses more electricity in a single day than all of Liberia. Mike the Headless Chicken was a famous chicken from 1945 that was beheaded by a farmer for his dinner, except that he continued to live for an additional 18 months.
Facts that will blow your mind. There is enough DNA in the average person's body to stretch from the sun to Pluto and back 17 times. The average human body carries 10 times more bacterial cells than human cells. It takes a photon up to 40,000 years to travel from the core of the sun to its surface, but only 8 minutes to travel the rest of the way to Earth. At over 2,000 kilometers long, the Great Barrier Reef is the largest living structure on Earth. There are 8 times as many atoms in a teaspoonful of water as there are teaspoonfuls of water in the Atlantic Ocean. In an entire lifetime, the average person walks the equivalent of 5 times around the world. There are actually over 24 states of matter that we know of. Grasshoppers have ears in their bellies. Killer whales are actually dolphins. You can't taste food without saliva. Follow and comment below which fact blew your mind.
Nobody would have ever believed that 2 weeks after their beautiful wedding ceremony, she would be found brutally murdered. 32-year-old Melissa Jubain and Brian Gentero got married on August 24th of this year, literally less than 2 months ago. Melissa and Brian were doing long distance. She was a nurse in Oregon and Brian worked and lived in Washington State. Their plan was that once they got married, Melissa would move to Washington and be with Brian and start their new life together. But unfortunately, that would never happen because on September 4th at approximately 10:18 a.m., police were called to Melissa's house to do a welfare check when she failed to show up to her job. Melissa was scheduled to work that morning at the hospital, and when she didn't show up, her co-workers knew there was something wrong because she was very punctual and reliable. Police first noticed that Melissa's car was still parked where she usually leaves it, meaning that on that morning she didn't even make it to her car. After looking for Melissa for days, she was finally found, and her neighbor, Bryce Sherbert, was arrested. They found crucial evidence which links Bryce to Melissa's murder, but they still have not revealed details about that. Now, Melissa and Bryce lived on the same floor in that apartment, and it was stated that he was obsessing over her for some time and just decided to take her life. I hope they come out with more details on this case, but for now, I did create an entire video going over all the details. If you want to check it out, it's on my YouTube.
These are the saddest and most wholesome graves in the entire world. This grieving mother added a sandbox to her little boy's grave who had passed away unexpectedly, and now his older brother plays in it every single day. This is the gravesite of a boy who died of an incurable illness in 1865. A few hours before he died, he told his dad he was scared of death because he knew they were going to bury him underground with no lights. So the parents honored his wish and put a window in his tomb. After her daughter died of yellow fever in 1892, a grieving mother wanted to make sure that her little girl was never alone. You see, her daughter was absolutely terrified of storms, so she constructed a staircase that goes directly down into her tomb. Every time there was a thunderstorm, that mother would go to the graveyard and sit with her daughter for hours, comforting her in her grave.
Crazy facts that will blow your mind. PT.33. The ocean is the most popular place to dispose of murder victims, and it holds more human remains than all of the graveyards on the earth combined. When you look up at the blue sky and see those white dots flying around, you're actually seeing your own white blood cells. When a person cries and the first drop of tears comes from the right eye, it's happiness. If it is from the left, it's pain.
In one of our last videos, they literally told us that if our white blood cells, which basically connects to our immune system, knows we have eyes, it would attack our eyes. So what does he mean by when we look up in the sun, we see our own white blood cell?
One of the world's scariest animals just got a whole lot scarier. And Planet of the Apes is slowly becoming non-fiction. Because apparently chimpanzees are out here murking gorillas. Scientists in 2021 witnessed a troop of chimpanzees basically jumping a family of gorillas. And when I say gang, we're talking about almost 30 chimps pressing a family of 5. Keep in mind a silverback can weigh up to 400 pounds and could probably bench press your car. And according to witnesses, the silverback was eating chimps left and right like they were paper mache. But eventually the chimps overwhelmed the bigger silverback and even kidnapped a baby gorilla. I'm not going to tell you exactly what they did, but that family of 5 became a party of 4. And it wasn't even the last time. Because later that year, scientists watched the same group of chimpanzees do the same exact thing. Square up with a family of gorillas, kidnap a baby, and erase its name from the gorilla census. And it's not like we didn't know chimps were about that. They often hunt bush babies and vervet monkeys, and we've even seen them use weapons like spears to do it. But it's one thing to hunt something that weighs like 5 Skittles. Going gorillas is another tier of Black Air Force activity. Which is why I'd rather be locked in a room with a jaguar than a chimp. Because at least a jaguar gonna make it quick.
And me personally, I'd rather be locked in a cage with none.
Disgusting facts you won't believe are true. PT-17. Many gummy candies are made from pigskin, cattle bones, and cattle hide. Hot dogs can contain traces of hair, skin, nails, and different meats. Canned mushrooms contain over 20 or more maggots of any size per 100 grams.
I don't eat canned mushrooms. I don't eat hot dogs. I know a lot of people like hot dogs. I don't know, hot dogs to me is weird because in my head, that's just mystery meat.
These girls disappeared on the way to a party and were found 45 years later. On May 29th of 1971, several college students from South Dakota decided they were going to have a party to celebrate that classes had ended. Pamela Jackson and Cheryl Miller were a part of this group and decided they were going to go with their classmates. The two hopped into Cheryl's car, and before the party, they stopped at church, and then they went to go visit Cheryl's grandmother, who was in the hospital. After that, they met up with 2 guys, and they were going to the party as well, and they decided that they were going to follow them behind their car. However, when those guys were driving, they accidentally missed an exit, so when they got out, they noticed that there was no cars behind them, so they figured the girls decided to do something else and they weren't going to go to the party, so those guys went to the party without them. Once Pamela and Cheryl's family did not hear from them or see them, they reported their disappearance to the police. During the following weeks, both law enforcement and volunteers were searching for the girls near the Missouri River, but they never found a trace of them. In 2007, a man named David Lycan, who was serving a sentence, claimed that he had unalived Cheryl and Pamela. However, David had lied about this and the charges were dropped. On September 23rd of 2013, the case would take a complete turn when a fisherman was fishing and he saw 2 whales coming up from the water. At that time, the water level was pretty low because of a drought and it was easier for the car to be seen. The car was removed from the water and they could see in the front seat were the skeletons of 2 bodies. Thanks to the DNA, they could confirm that it was Pamela and Cheryl who had been missing for 42 years. With the evidence that the police had, they were able to come up with the conclusion that the two girls suffered from a car accident. Pamela's father passed away at the age of 102 just 5 days before finding her body, and sadly he will never know what had happened to her.
Animals that became serial killers, Part 2. The sloth bear of Mysore. In 1957, the sloth bear of Mysore mauled over 30 humans and took the lives of 12. The sloth bear's killing spree didn't stop, and the bear just had a desire for killing. The killer sloth bear went missing in late 1957, after the killings took place. What do you think ever happened to the sloth bear of Mysore?
They probably try to run up on someone and someone's just like,
Gruesome facts you didn't know, part 240. In early Roman times, the male head of a Roman family possessed the right to life and death. He had the legal right to execute his children, sell them into slavery, or abandon unwanted or deformed newborns in the forest to die of exposure. Roughly 30,000 people, both children and adults, suffer from an amputated finger each year, with doors and power tools being the most common causes. The only satellite crashing into Earth fatality ever recorded in history was in 1961 when a cow in Cuba was struck by a metal fragment. In 1966, Lester Eubanks was sentenced to life without parole for the murder and attempted rape of 14-year-old Mary Ellen Diener. After 7 years behind bars, he was considered a model inmate and was granted special privileges. One of those was a temporary leave to go Christmas shopping at a Columbus mall on December 7th. The child murderer vanished, never returned to the pickup spot, and was never seen or heard from again.
SpongeBob night.
One fault off.
Liam, come here. Liam, right now. What is happening? Okay, I'm calling your mom. Just stay right here. Cheese. Cheese. What you doing? What you see? What? What you see? Who are you saying hi to? Who are you saying hi to? Dude, you need to stop that. You're freaking me out. Come on.
Here are some things that are illegal to say out loud. So this is for educational purposes only. So you can't say, and I quote, let's organize a militia to overthrow the government. Illegal. You also can't say, and I quote, I'm going to bomb that government building. Very illegal. You also can't mention having a bomb on a commercial aircraft, obviously. You can't say, and I quote, I'm going to steal from that store and hurt anyone who tries to stop me, so don't do that. You can't say, and I quote, I'll make sure that immigrant family never feels safe in this neighborhood. That's a no-no. You can't say, and I quote, I'll release everyone's private information online unless they pay me. Of course. You also can't say, and I quote, I want to distribute, insert illegal product here, because I think it's harmless. Nor can you say, and I quote, I will pay someone to assault my neighbor. And finally, you can't say, and I quote, I hope someone shoots the president, because that's very illegal. So don't say these things.
Nah, that video is hilarious. Like, that actually made me burst out laughing. But, like, it's funny because he's saying, oh, you can't say all this. But, like, what happened to our First Amendment, right, US?
That will blow your mind. The world population has more than doubled since John F. Kennedy was president. Black teeth were a sign of wealth in 18th century England. There's a fence in Australia longer than the distance between Seattle and Miami. Almonds are part of the peach family. The longest time between two twins being born is 87 days. A jockey won a horse race while dead. Bananas are Walmart's best-selling item. Scotland's national animal is the unicorn. May 29th is Put a Pillow on Your Fridge Day. Follow and comment below which fact blew your mind.
Disturbing facts about the human body you wish you never knew. Because your brain has no pain receptors, brain surgery is sometimes performed while the patient is awake. Like this woman who was playing the violin while getting brain surgery. Now, everybody knows that feeling you get on a roller coaster when it feels like your stomach is turning. But do you actually know that feeling is caused by all your organs moving around your body? Next up, did you know you can break a rib while sneezing? This might sound fake, but it's very possible. So next time you sneeze, you could break a rib. Finally, a human head remains conscious for around 20 seconds after being decapitated. I can just imagine what your mind is thinking while your head is laying on the floor off your body.
I feel like with the decapitation one, I don't think your mind's really thinking about anything specific. I feel like it's just confused because of the lack of oxygen and everything else that is just lacking at the moment because it's off your body. So it's probably just like in a state of confusion, like what the fuck? And if your brain doesn't have pain receptors, so then how do you explain headaches?
Mind-blowing tech facts. Did you know the first ever mobile phone weighed over 2 kilograms? Your smartphone today has more power than the computers that NASA used to put a man on the moon. The average person checks their smartphone 58 times per day. We all know that switching phones or losing data can be an absolute nightmare. Luckily, I found Wondershare Dr. Phone. It makes transferring data, unlocking phones, and recovering lost files super easy.
Oh my god. Aliens exist. Confirmed breaking news. I didn't even know how to make this video. Basically, a high-ranking general or some whistleblower, but we think it's a general, went to Congress and just were like, hey, I don't want this anymore. This is freaking me out. Here's the entire operating procedure on how the Pentagon and Department of Justice, who has this very secret program called Immaculate Constellation, goes out and retrieves fallen spacecraft. Congress was like, they crash a lot? Yeah, they do. And well, we had to make a team to go and pick up the spacecraft so that it wouldn't cause any panic. Congress says, how come we didn't know about this? And the guy, the general, was like, hey, basically the Pentagon wanted me to tell you that you guys are very untrustworthy and you guys are always on TV. And Congress was like, yeah, that makes sense. We do talk a lot on TV. So then Congress was like, well, let's go talk to the Department of Justice. Department of Justice was like, no, there is no such thing as Immaculate Constellation being as one of our programs. And Congress was like, we never told you the name. So you just confirmed that it exists because how would you know it's called Immaculate Constellation? And they're like, oh, damn, that's a good one. They literally outed themselves on a rookie mistake. And here's the kicker. They're not even aliens. They're not from another planet, I mean. They're from here. Have fun down that rabbit hole. It's probably a whole new species.
Well, you know, Neil deGrasse said something that I watched the other day, and it personally stands out to me. He said, if aliens have the technology to travel light years to Earth, why the hell would they get to Earth and then crash?
Some facts you didn't know, part 245. During the live broadcast of a Japanese game show in 2008, the host Tetsuchi Yanagita was encouraged to join in on the game. Upon falling in the shallow, muddy waters, he horrifically broke his neck, which left him paralyzed from the neck down. Completely unaware of his injuries, the contestants thought he was just playing a prank on them. They proceeded to push his face into the waters while he struggled to stay alive. When serial killer Ed Kemper cut off his mother's head, he placed it on a shelf and screamed at it for over an hour. He then cut out her tongue and larynx and tried to put them in the garbage disposal. But it was unable to break down the tough vocal cords, and he found this rather ironic. He said that seemed appropriate, as much as she and yelled and screamed at me over all those years. A fire started in Chicago on October 8th of 1871 and burned down almost the entire city in just 2 days. 300 people lost their lives and over 100,000 were left homeless. With most of the city being constructed out of wood, a 4-month drought, as well as firefighters being sent to the wrong location at the start of the fire, it became known as the Great Chicago Fire of 1871.
Jason was literally a special needs child who literally was bullied his entire life and was pushed into a lake and drowned by the campers that were supposed to be his fellow comrades. And the camp counselors who were supposed to be watching him weren't even watching him. Instead, they was too busy getting busy in the cabins. And all Jason was trying to do was have a good little fun camp experience, and look where it got him. Bullied and dead. So first of all, can you even blame his mom for going on a killing spree and trying to take out everybody at the camp? Then apparently Jason didn't even die, or he probably just got resurrected through the water or something. The only person who ever really cared about him, the only person he knew that actually was concerned about his well-being, he sees her get decapitated right in front of him by one of the counselors that was supposed to be watching him before he drowned. It's like, at this point, how can you people really just think that he's just this badass evil killer guy? Bro, Jason is a child, a traumatized child in a hulking monstrous mass of a body. This is a child with massive trust issues, and he's constantly killing people because he thinks, oh, they're gonna try to kill me first anyway. he's still in a childlike way of thinking, so he also thinks everybody around him is just like the kids that bullied him and the camp counselors that weren't watching him and killed his mom. So now after any sign of human presence, he just wants to fucking annihilate you, so you'll leave him the fuck alone. Like, bruh, if y'all really still think Jason is evil, bruh, I don't know what to tell you. Something's wrong with y'all, man. Y'all ain't got no type of perspective.
Damn, this dude actually made me kind of feel bad for him, because I was thinking like, damn, Jason, why you going around hurting random people? But with that backstory, I guess it kind of makes sense.
Joey was a 23-year-old young man who loved going on walks. One day, Joey was walking around his neighborhood when he noticed a man staring at him, smiling in the distance. And it wasn't just a smile, it was the worst smile you've ever seen. Joey ignored the man and kept walking, but noticed two other people staring and smiling at him. Joey was so confused and thought they were laughing at him, but as he got closer, he noticed the smile on their faces was extremely sinister. At this point, Joey was scared and started walking faster. But things kept getting stranger. Every person Joey walked by was staring at him with a chilling smile on their faces. Joey began to run, but everyone began running after him with the smile still on their faces. As Joey approached his house, a pack of smiling people followed. Joey then woke up in a pool of sweat in his bed. He then turned over to check his phone when he noticed something in the corner of his room. He stared in fear as a man with a smile on his face looked at him.
This woman killed her daughter by feeding her Mountain Dew. Tamara Brooks is a 41-year-old woman from Ohio. In January 2022, her 4-year-old daughter tragically passed away. Tamara and her partner reportedly found their daughter unresponsive on the 21st of January. They rang an ambulance and the child was raced to hospital. She sadly didn't make it. When she was examined post-mortem, it was discovered that she died from severe malnutrition and suffered diabetes-related complications. She had been fed Mountain Dew through a baby bottle, and the child's teeth were actually rotting so badly that she barely had any teeth left. The child had never been taken to a dentist, and Tamara was said to have mixed baby formula with fizzy drinks. Tamara pleaded guilty to involuntary manslaughter and has been sentenced to 9 years in prison. The child's dad, Christopher Hobe, has also been charged with his daughter's death. He will be sentenced next month. Horrifically, this is not Tamara's only child, and certainly not the only child to have suffered in her care. Her son fell into a coma when he was 4 years old from undiagnosed diabetes. Tamara then failed to take him to follow-up appointments with doctors.
I think we can all agree that sugary things give you diabetes now, because a kid that young should not have diabetes unless she got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, which is like the one that you're born with. But how could both of them just have diabetes like that? I mean, I'm not sure. Maybe it just runs in the family, but all I know is like I'm pretty sure she got that because she was drinking all those Mountain Dews probably multiple times a day, destroying her organs.
You ever heard about like creepypastas and shit like that? I'm pretty
Of course,
sure.
yeah.
So there was a 13-year-old boy, right, who moved into a new town with his mother. He was used to getting bullied and stuff, like really, really bad and shit. In his new school, whatever, he was still getting bullied. But it got too extreme, bro. Like these kids were like, that ass hurt this mother. Right? This time it got too crazy to the point where like they lit him on fire and they threw bleach on his face. His eyelids got like up, but he has no eyelids. He basically woke up in the hospital, right? He looked into the mirror and he saw his new face and he just started laughing like manically.
Yeah.
And he was saying like, I love my new face.
Yeah, that was probably him like literally being at that breaking point and just snapping. Like he was already getting bullied and shit.
And then he purposely carved like a permanent smile on his face.
Is his name Jeff?
Yeah.
As soon as you said like bleach on his face and it got fucked up, yeah, Jeff the Killer's face like popped up. But do you think like there's a real life person that was like that? Maybe like their face got destroyed and like they looked at their face and like started laughing because like, yo, I fucking love my face now.
I mean, we know that there are deranged, crazy people.
Yeah,
in the
for
world,
sure.
And a situation like that could literally either make you like completely depressed and sad and want to like just be completely on some. I'm already gonna get looked at as crazy and shit. I might as well just completely envelop that character.
It's basically what he did, and then he ended up one by one started getting revenge on all of them, and he killed them, bro.
You remember the JPEG one?
JPEG?
With the dog?
The smiling dog?
Yeah, cursed picture of the dog. I think it was like a JPEG or like a regular attachment sent to somebody on their laptop and they just...
Chablis was the manager of a farm that all of his friends worked on, and one day they all got into a very big argument. And a couple days after the argument, these so-called friends did the unthinkable. They all went to where Chablis was at and then kidnapped him and asked him for money from his parents. Chablis' parents ended up giving them money, and his friends, the kidnappers, assured them that Chablis would be home safely by the morning. But that did not happen. They ended up killing Chablis and then cooked his flesh and meat and ate him since Chablis saw their faces. The police interrogated many suspects and one of them confessed and showed them the area where Chablis was killed. Police searched the area and found Chablis' bone fragments and skull. Yu Meng Chung Marma was arrested as the mastermind behind the murder, and when he was taken to the crime scene, an angry mob of villagers surrounded the police car and pulled him out. They all then savagely lynched him to death. It turns out Yu Meng killed Chablis before even contacting his parents for money, which makes it that much worse. This case is just sickening, and it's crazy what people would do for money, especially to their own friends. May Chablis rest in peace. You did not deserve this at all.
He said he ended him because he saw his face, but he could have just left it at that. He said he ended him and then he ate him. So, what the?
I do have a case about a real life Frogger too. This case is called the Denver Spider-Man. His name was Theodore Conies or Conies. He had a pretty rough childhood too. Doctors would say that he wouldn't live to see 18 because he had like a medical conditions and stuff like that. He was homeless for most of his adult life. So time passes. When he goes to this house from his old friend, his original plan was to just go steal money and steal food. But when he went, like nobody was home and the door was unlocked. And as he was looking through everything, he saw a hole that led to a secret room in the attic. Him being skinny, he fit through the hole. He made himself through the attic, and for the next 5 weeks, he was staying at the crib. And he only went down whenever they were sleeping, or whenever they were out. He would only come down to get food and then go back up.
Looking like a rat.
Within those 5 weeks, on October, he thought that the guy was out, but he was snapping somewhere, and he was going through the fridge making noise, and the guy ended up waking up. A fight ensued. He ended up killing him. But after killing him, instead of fleeing the scene, he just cleaned the murder weapons and went back up to the attic and just stood there. And when the cops arrived, they searched everywhere, but they couldn't find no evidence. And they saw the hole too, but they didn't think a man could fit through there, so they just let it be. And he stood there for the next, I think all the way to July, bro.
God damn.
How do niggas not realize things going missing?
Yeah, like
things being
my opinion, this is like the most notorious place in this entire country. The Ancient Ram Inn. It's in this pit where they found the skeletal remains of children who were sacrificed.
It's not the sort of place I want to live.
It's a foreboding place. It is the most evil house I've had the misfortune to visit.
My father, he was a devout Baptist minister when he moved in. He was attacked by incubus, the sex demon.
Satanic rituals were performed here.
People have been using it for curses.
This place, every time you walk in, I mean, I wouldn't spend the night here on my own. It's supposed to be linked to the devil, basically. It's a sex demon.
There, the triangular mark, what they call a witch's mark, to ward off evil spirits. I'm not joking, he possesses people in here. You really have to be careful.
There's reports of a person who was killed by having his face pressed into the open fire.
So that's why I don't live here now. It's more than just the little things moving. It's, it's got this place has got personality.
Gangbang.
What the?
Kissing. There's something's messing with my legs, man.
Why the hell were they in a demon house talking about gangbangs? What the freak?
This is Lucy Letby, a 33-year-old nurse who's just been accused of murdering 7 infants and attempting to kill 10 more. This is what we know so far. Lucy was a nurse at the Countess of Chester Hospital in Chester, England. Dating back to 2015, a doctor at the hospital started noticing unusual and unexplainable things happening in the neonatal unit, such as multiple infants either collapsing or dying. Sometimes this would happen in just the span of a month. During that time, Nurse Lucy would be assigned to the infants and working. But suspicions really didn't start until April of 2016, when a 6-week premature boy, referred to as Child M, suddenly stopped breathing and collapsed. Doctors spent 25 minutes resuscitating him via CPR and giving him multiple doses of adrenaline. Luckily, he was stabilized and placed on a ventilator. However, the doctor on call noticed bright pink blotches on the infant's torso that would appear and disappear. And once he was stabilized, they completely vanished. It wasn't known at the time, but oxygen had actually been injected into the baby's bloodstream. Lucy was the assigned nurse to take care of him that evening, and she noted that the infant was experiencing symptoms similar to that of the brain being starved of oxygen. But later brain scans determined that that wasn't true. Just hours later, Child M's twin brother, referred to as Child L, also collapsed and started to deteriorate after Nurse Lucy was assigned to him. And like his brother, Child L had also been attacked, but this time he was injected with a dose of insulin. Luckily, both brothers survived, but this prompted a doctor at the hospital to begin an investigation into what was happening. And to his surprise, he discovered multiple infant deaths at the hospital consistent with air embolism dating back to 2015, and Lucy was at the center of it all. Lucy was arrested in 2018, and shortly after, authorities found multiple post-it notes in her home in which she had written things like, quote, "I am evil," and "I killed them on purpose," end quote. Lucy is facing 22 charges and has been accused of killing 7 infants and attempting to kill 10 more. It was reported that she used various methods to harm the infants, like injecting them with oxygen and insulin, but also feeding them an excessive amount of milk. Lucy has since pleaded not guilty, and the case remains ongoing.
I'm not gonna lie, that's one of the scariest things ever. Like, even if you're an infant or an elder, I feel like just going to a hospital, you know what I'm saying, you're entrusting them with your life, and just for a nurse to be like, you know, today I kind of just feel like to just hurt people.
Who played Troy McClure in The Simpsons was brutally murdered, and no one believed it until they got proof. Phil Hartman had a distinctive voice. He was well known for playing numerous Simpsons characters such as Troy McClure, Lionel Hutz, and the man who was selling the monorail. He played loads of characters on show SNL and had roles in numerous films. He married his first wife, Gretchen Lewis, in 1970, and the pair got divorced just 2 years after. He then married again to Lisa Strain in 1982. He then again got divorced. In 1987, he married his third wife, former model Bryn Omdahl. They'd met on a blind date and he was infatuated with her. The pair had 2 children together, but the marriage had its challenges. Bryn was jealous of Phil's success and also extremely jealous of his exes. She once sent a very threatening letter to his ex-wife saying that she would rip her eyes out. She started drinking heavily and using substances, and although she had dreams of becoming an actress, she just couldn't live up to Phil's success. She ended up going to rehab several times. She would often have violent outbursts, and Phil was quite often terrified for the safety of his children. Now, interestingly, Phil actually became close friends with Joe Rogan, who did try and convince him to get a divorce. Unfortunately, though, he stuck with his wife, which proved to be fatal. On the 28th of May 1998, Bryn went to a restaurant to have drinks with a producer and a writer. After she got home, her and Phil had a heated argument before going to bed. Before 3 a.m, Bryn entered the room where Phil was sleeping after she had taken substances and been drinking. She shot him 3 times with a handgun. Still high, she drove to her friend's house where she told him that she'd killed her husband. Now, he actually didn't believe her, and he asked her to come with him back to the house so that he could confirm this. They drove to the house, and when he obviously saw Phil's body, he knew she was telling the truth. After finding Phil's body, he rang police. By the time officers had got to the property, Bryn had locked herself in the bedroom. She then unalived herself with the same weapon that she used on her husband. After the passing of both of their parents, the pair's children were looked after by Bryn's sister Catherine and her husband.
I can tell you right now, that woman was the problem.
It's the cowardly dog. There was only certain times when I feel like the villains or the characters in there were just too creepy.
For me, it was majority of them, I'm not gonna lie.
There was also this one where episode, like some creepy ass guy with a weird ass smile tormented
Courage?
Yeah, you don't remember? He had like a weird ass smile. Still to this day, if I watch it, it kind of gives me a weird ass vibe, creepy vibe. Name of the episode is Freaky Fred. If I show you the picture of the character or the villain, you're gonna know who it is. Do you remember him?
Yeah, bro.
Do you remember what he said though? What was his famous line?
I remember seeing this motherfucker, but I don't remember the episode.
So supposedly this is Muriel's nephew, and he's a freaky barber, according to Eustace, right? And he's just this really weird like character who is obsessed with hair, but he's also obsessed with being naughty. But the way he says it
sounds like a predator way, or
yeah, it sounds mad fucking weird, bro, and it makes you feel uncomfortable.
Hello, new friend. My name is Fred. The words you hear are in my head, and I've been very naughty.
And he becomes very, very obsessed with
courage,
and he wants to cut his hair off.
The look upon my young love's face was sweet as lace.
Poor Courage, bro. I'll be feeling so bad for Courage.
I realized she...
That one episode is the one that freaked me out the most and shit like that. But it was actually inspired.
This 18-year-old model was murdered, and you won't believe what her killer said. This is Sally Ann Bowman, and she was born on September 11th, 1987. in Carshalton, South London. She attended the Brit School for Performing Arts and Technology in Croydon. Sally Bowman had dreams of one day appearing on the cover of Vogue and had been compared to supermodel Kate Moss. After leaving school in 2004, she worked part-time as a hairdresser and model. In January 2005, she joined Pulse Model Management, a local modeling agency, and she became the face of Swatch Watches and took part in the Swatch Alternative Fashion Week in April 2005. But in September of that year, her life would drastically change forever. On the night of September 24th, 2005, Sally Bowman and her older sister Nicole and a group of friends went to Lloyd's Bar in Croydon, where they stayed until 1 a.m. After leaving the bar, Sally Bowman waited outside for 15 minutes before being taken to a friend's house by taxi. She contacted her ex-boyfriend Lewis Broadston and he agreed to pick her up and take her home after she told him Nicole had been arrested for fighting. She took a taxi back to Croydon Town Central where Sproatston picked her up around 2 a.m. But while in the car, Sally and her ex-boyfriend got into a fight and they accused the other of infidelity, which had been contributed to their recent split. Shortly after 4 a.m., Sally left the car and Lewis drove off. Minutes later, Sally was then stabbed in the neck and stomach and was then she lay dead or dying on the ground. Her handbag, cardigan, and underwear and mobile phone were stolen. Police initially treated Lewis as a suspect and he was then arrested. After being held for 4 days, DNA evidence eliminated him as a suspect and he was released without charge. On June 28, 2006, 35-year-old Croydon man Mark Dixie was arrested on suspicion of murdering Sally. He was charged with Sally's murder and remained in custody to await trial. This development came after police discovered a DNA link to the murder, having taken a DNA swab from Dixie when they arrested him 2 weeks earlier for allegedly being involved in a brawl at a bar, where he was working as a chef. After more than 18 months in custody, Mark Dixie went on trial at the Old Bailey in the City of London on February 4, 2008, charged with the murder of Sally Ann Bowman. He admitted to having sex with her after finding her on the ground outside her home, but denied murdering her and said that he did not realize she was dead or dying when he found her. Which is just sickening because we all know he did it and what he did to her. Mark Dixie was then found guilty of Sally Bowman's murder by anonymous verdict on February 22, 2008 after 3 hours of jury deliberation. The judge sentenced Mark Dixie to life in prison with a minimum of 34 years, meaning that he is unlikely to be considered for parole until at least 2040. It was also revealed that Mark Dixie was already a convicted serial sex offender. This case is just so chilling and sad because Sally Bowman had dreams of becoming a model and just doing something good with her life. And that went all out the door because this mentally unstable man had other plans. She was just 18 years old with her whole life ahead of her. May she rest in peace.
If I'm being real, she does look like she could have been a model for real.
What's going on here? Oh, mama.
Okay, I do not know what's going on right now. I heard a noise. I come outside. There's sirens blaring, and I see this huge trail in the sky.
Yes? But Captain, no police? Man. Everywhere, what's going on? And it's quiet, as if they're waiting for something.
It's midnight right now, and there's this huge trail like something crash landed. What the heck is that? What is this?
Expecting something, preparing for something. Look over here, let's walk over here. Come on, let's walk over here. Morning. Oh my God. You got all this? What's going on here? Let's go. Let's turn around and look at that again, man. Turn around and look at that. Let them see them. What's going on here? Oh.
Yeah, a lot of people believe that was aliens, but I don't know. I don't really feel like alien spaceships would have flames coming from them like that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like it might have been something else, like a military something, you know? Like,
did you hear that there's something that was found in deep space and it's heading towards Earth?
The James Webb Telescope had spotted an armada of alien ships heading toward Earth.
Is it aliens? Well, according to the story, whatever this is, allegedly looks like this city-sized alien ship, some say in the shape of a cube, or even an armada of tightly clustered alien ships that were going in one direction. It was then observed making course corrections towards us near light speed. Course correcting isn't an observed natural phenomena for space objects like asteroids or other celestial bodies, and suggests technology. And people were saying that whatever this is would arrive to us in just a few years or maybe even a few weeks. Now, if you don't know, the James Webb Telescope is our best, most powerful telescope, which is out in space, and it was designed to look into deep space on the infrared spectrum. So what's going on? Well, the official story is that this whole thing started after a discussion on the Vetted podcast, talking about these alleged classified briefings happening within the government, as well as Lou Elizondo mentioning being aware of an object that was headed towards us. Now, debunkers say this is just not real. JWST isn't capable of detecting things like this, and if it was aliens, NASA and the government would tell us. So, in their view, it's debunked. But is it really? I'm not so sure. It's probably nothing, but let me know what you think in the comments.
Well, the only way to true know is to find out in a couple weeks or a couple years, and I don't really know if I want to find out. But when I saw that video, there was comments talking about Project Bluebeam, and honestly, when I was looking at the Project Bluebeam, I was like, honestly, I would not doubt if this is what's truly going on. So we're gonna take a look at that right now.
Project Bluebeam. By far the scariest years we may see. This conspiracy achieved its status in 1994 by a book that was written by Serge Monast. In the book, the writer describes how the United Nations, in collaboration with NASA's technology, will unite the whole world under a new false religion. But how? There will be, supposedly, an alien invasion, which is all part of the whole show, of course. And one day, a hero, a god, will come from the skies and destroy these aliens. And us, human beings, we will not believe our own eyes and start to worship this god. Whatever this god orders will happen. One world order. This is called the Project Bluebeam. Now, I don't believe that they have the technology that is capable of deceiving us yet, but in the near future, they might very well be able to make them. If you are a Muslim or a Christian, this whole show must ring a bell. This is the person we have been warned about more than 1,000 years ago. If this happens, this is the Dajjal, the Antichrist. Be prepared.
They did say that the Bible did have something about an Antichrist and everyone worshiping him before the real Christ come back or something like that. But I will say, Project Bluebeam seems so much more like realistic to me. There was literally an interview where a president was talking about how the world would be so much more united if an alien force attacks us. And it's true, so if they're trying to do that, I would not doubt that. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, ever since I watched that Neil deGrasse Tyson interview where he said that, like, how could aliens have so much technology that they could find Earth, but then get to Earth and then crash? It doesn't make sense, you know? So, I don't know, just something to think about. Let me know your guys' thoughts about that in the comments.
If you have eaten from any of these places recently, you are at big risk. There is a massive E. coli outbreak, and 76 cases have already been reported, and most of them have reportedly eaten from McDonald's, Taco Bell, KFC, Burger King, and even Pizza Hut. Please save the names of these restaurants and avoid visiting them any soon. This is why most of them have removed the onions from your meals this week. McDonald's has already claimed to have traced back the Quarter Pounder's onions from a supplier in California that is responsible for this. We cannot mention the supplier's name, but they have already recalled all of the onions. So please do not eat at these fast food places until the problem is officially solved. But if you are already going all Rambo in your washroom and experiencing high fever for 2 days, then you are probably cooked. Comment, "Am I cooked?" with the name of the restaurant if you have recently eaten from any of those places. All jokes aside, please stay safe. I am hoping to see you in our next video. Follow for more daily news.
Honestly, we should stick with that narrative. So if you've eaten from any of those restaurants in like the last, I guess, 2 weeks, just comment I'm cooked and list the restaurant in the comments.
Buying apps you should never download, part 1. Up first we have Camster Pro. Now from an outside perspective, it actually looks quite cool and completely harmless. Now when downloaded on an iPhone, it gives you an option to connect to a network of iPhones which will connect you to security footage, MacBook cameras, iPhone cameras, so you can essentially watch other people. That's already strange, but it gets worse. What isn't told to you is when you download this app, you are unknowingly giving other people free reign to look through your device's camera, meaning other app users from around the world could be staring at you through your iPhone and you wouldn't have a clue. Now share this with a friend to make sure they never download this app because this could legitimately save their life.
Here are a few of the worst submechanophobia images I've ever seen. Part 3. This is apparently real. I don't know where it is. Apparently it's in Italy, or it looks like it's in Italy. I might be completely making that up. But here's it from another angle. Could you imagine swimming in a boat and seeing that? I don't know how deep it is underwater. I don't know if it's held up by pipes. I don't know if it's held up by scaffolding. I don't know if it's just the whole arm. I don't know if it's a whole sculpture. Terrifying.
This might be the worst death of all time. This is a photo of an Englishman named Alan Catterall whose death in 2010 made worldwide news. Now, Alan worked for a company that manufactured and made kayaks. Now, you're probably thinking that this job doesn't really sound dangerous, and you'd be right. However, on December 23, 2010, Alan's job was to clean the industrial oven that the factory used to melt kayaks. And so after finishing his lunch break for the day, Alan set off to go clean the inside of the oven using cleaning materials and a crowbar. However, when the door closed behind him, it was accidentally locked by a coworker who was unaware that Alan was doing his job inside of the oven that day. And sadly, the coworker who turned the oven on was named Mark Francis, who was engaged to Alan's daughter. The oven slowly heated up to over 550 degrees Fahrenheit with Alan inside of it. And by the time the coworkers opened the door, Alan had burnt to death.
I wonder if he did it on purpose. He definitely had to do it on purpose because there's no way you burn someone and then they're not screaming or like anything, you know?
You may have heard of La Llorona, but do you know the terrifying story of La Quemada? A woman who plunged her face into a bucket of hot coals to see if her boyfriend only loved her for her beauty. And before we dive in, this week's episode is all legends and ghost stories from Mexico City. So back in the 1600s in Mexico City, there was this beautiful woman named Beatrice who lived on a street that's now called La Quemada. And Beatrice fell in love with an Italian man named Don Martin. I mean, who wouldn't? But her father kept warning her about this guy. He thought that Don Martin only loved Beatrice for her beauty. She thought if she removed her beauty from the equation, she would know if Don Martin loved her for her. So that night, she gathered up a bucket of hot coals and she plunged her face into them. And now it's rumored that La Quemada is one of the most haunted streets in Mexico City. Some say that at night, you can see just her eyes watching you from the dark, that the rest of her face has completely melted away. Anyways, you should check out this week's episode if you want to hear more stories from Mexico City. Legends, folklore, myths, ghost stories, you name it.
I personally think that's a little bit extreme. Why would she dip her face just to test if her husband only loves her for her beauty? If you're a woman watching this video right now, would you do that? And if yes, why?
This video is going to show you how the world is actually doing better than ever. Nearly half of all children in the world were dying before their 5th birthday in the year 1800, and now that is less than 5%. You can see here that only 10% of adults in the year 1800 could read and write, and now that number is almost 90. 100 years ago, basically nothing was protected on Earth, and now almost 15% of the entire Earth is protected by national parks. Smoke particles in the air have gone down by over half. In just 35 years, the share of people with water has gone up 30%. Equal rights for women has become the standard in just a little over a century. Battle deaths per 100,000 people has gone down quite a lot. This shows a drastic improvement of how much oil is actually being spilled into the ocean. Deaths from disasters are way down. And world hunger is constantly on the downfall. We still have a lot of work to do, but the world is not all that bad. Scrolling on social media or watching the news can make it really hard sometimes to feel like anything in the world is actually going right. But when we're able to just take a breath, take a moment, and try and see things from a different perspective, there's a lot of good in the world to see, and we don't have a lot of time on Earth to enjoy it.
Hey, well, at least that's some good news, you know what I'm saying? I feel like nowadays everyone just like, the attention grabbers is always those bad news. Oh, Russia just got nuked. oh, this kid just got blown up. You know what I'm saying? Those are the attention grabs. You hear, hey, Russia just supplied 1 million trees, so the environment's way better. No one cares. It's that truth.
Here are some unethical life hacks you need to know. Okay, firstly, if you're ever trying to meet someone but they live pretty far away, just tell them you live 2 times further than you actually do and tell them to meet halfway, so you can just stay at home until they arrive. Now, next time you're on a plane and somebody decides to lean back their seat until you almost have no leg room, turn on the air conditioning above your head on the plane and point it towards theirs. They will definitely stop reclining their seat. If you ever want to sound sick when calling into work or anything like that because you just want to relax, just lie your head over the edge of your bed and you will sound congested when you talk. If you're ever traveling and you forgot a phone charger and you don't want to buy a new one, just go to the hotel staff and say you lost a charger. When they ask you what it looks like, just say it's a white iPhone charger. And since there's many of those, they'll probably just give one to you. Oh yeah, and finally, don't tell anyone you got these tips from me.
Morbid Facts, Part 422. In 1986, 21-year-old Christopher Thomas Knight ran out of gas in rural Maine, entered the woods, and lived there for the next 27 years without human contact. He survived by committing over 1,000 burglaries against houses in the area to be able to endure the harsh winters of Maine. Knight was eventually captured by a game warden and sentenced to 7 months in jail, later vowing to live normally and to never steal again. In the 19th century, African woman Sarah Bartman was displayed as a freak show attraction in Europe for her unusually large backside. Marketed as the missing link between man and beast, she was often brought out as an exhibit at wealthy parties and private events. In 1815, Sarah died of an unknown illness at the age of 26, likely as a result of her poor living conditions. Her remains were later displayed in the French Museum of Natural History for over a century, before she was finally laid to rest in her native South Africa in 2002.
Terrifying Games You Don't Want to Play, Part 34. The Sad Man Ritual. This game can only be played by someone who has experienced a scarring event in their life which they haven't been able to recover from. If the game is played correctly, that event will be wiped from their memory completely. However, the consequences for losing can be unbearable. If you are one of the unfortunate individuals who wishes to play this game, you'll need to summon the Sad Man. All you'll need to do this is a bag of ashes and a functioning telephone. Once you have acquired these items, you'll need to wait until the moon is fully visible in the sky before calling the number displayed on your screen. If no one answers, you'll have to call again some other time. However, if you hear the sound of crying on the other end of the phone, hang up immediately. The game has now begun. You'll need to spread the ashes on your bed and lie down as if you are sleeping. At exactly midnight, the Sad Man will appear in your room and sit on the bed next to you. The Sad Man will begin to ask you a series of questions about your life, such as how often do you lie, and have you ever stolen anything. These questions must be answered truthfully or the game will immediately end and you will be punished for lying. With that being said, you don't have to give a straight answer as long as you're not lying outright. For example, if he asks you if you have ever stolen anything, you can respond with something to the effect of, "Is anything ever truly owned?" When the clock strikes 1, he will decide based off your answers whether or not your sadness is deserved. If he decides that you are a good person, he will erase any distressing memories from your mind permanently. But if he decides that you are a bad person, you will never find happiness for as long as you live. Comment whether or not you would play this game and follow for more.
So this is the actual basement where 200 demons were coming out of in Latoya Amon's Indiana rental home. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there's a movie going crazy viral right now. It's on Netflix and it's called The Deliverance.
Rebuke you, Satan, in the name of Jehovah.
Now, it is based on a true story that the Amons family went through in 2011 in this home right here. Look at the window. The Amons family recalled seeing shadowy figures just like that one pacing around in the living room. But there were so many other creepier things that happened in the home. In this interview, Latoya talks about how she witnessed her child levitating over their bed and speaking in a really deep voice.
It was horrible. This is the woman who lived in the House of Horrors with her 3 children before Zach Bagans bought it. Latoya Ammons fought back tears when she told us how they fled in terror after her daughter was raised right off her bed. She says the demons sounded like this.
We've waited 5 months. He walked up the wall and did the backwards flip.
How did everybody in the hospital react to your son walking up the wall?
They took off and they ran.
walking up the wall in a hospital is insane. You telling me no one got footage of that though?
This is the dirtiest human in the world. Meet Amu Haji. Amu is an 88-year-old man living in Iran, and he hasn't showered in over 65 years. Amu says that he's afraid of water and being clean, and he believes that if he takes a bath, he will get sick and die. Along with being the dirtiest human being on the planet, Amu lives alone in the Iranian desert, and he sleeps every night in holes just like this one. Amu says that he doesn't want to live in a house, but he also doesn't want to live alone for the rest of his life. He also loves to smoke cigarettes, but when he runs out of tobacco, he smokes animal poop instead. Say what you will, but this guy's famous for a reason.
Why do so many cartoon characters wear gloves?
Do you ever wonder why we're always like wearing gloves?
From Mickey to Goofy to Bugs Bunny, they are all fitted with white gloves, but why? During the early days of black and white animation, it helped simplify the process and save time. It also helped their hand gestures stand out more. It was also difficult for audiences to see their black hands against their black bodies. Walt Disney further explained that it helped make the characters more human. This isn't your everyday grandma. Her name is Margaret Ann Neve, but what makes her so special and unique? For starters, she was the first recorded female supercentenarian, meaning she reached the age of 110. Not only that, she was also the first proven individual whose life spanned across 3 centuries. She lived from 1792 until 1903. To put that into perspective, the year she was born, George Washington was still president and construction began on the White House. In the year she died, Teddy Roosevelt was president and the Wright brothers flew their first airplane.
Fun facts until the Orbeez overflow. Perfume has whale poo in it. Depending on where a cow is from, it has an accent to its moo. The Cookie Monster's real name is Sid. They say it once. Sea lions have rhythm. They're the only animal that can clap on beat. There's a spot in Michigan where you can get a unicorn hunting license. Mars is basically a ball of rusted iron. That's why it's red. And it looks like I'm out of time. I don't know if you heard, but some gold miners were mining for gold in Canada and they discovered a mammoth. And it was a perfectly preserved mammoth, still with its skin and fur. And whereas this is really cool, that's not the interesting part. They were able to date the mammoth back to 37,000 years ago, which would have been before humans were in North America, or so they thought. When they found the mammoth, he had fractures to his bones that they said looked like human activity. Also, in the area that they found it, they also found what they said looks like traces of traps, fire, and weapons. Little buddy might cause us to rewrite history.
Osteophobia. Megalophobia.
I'm not trying to be that one guy, but none of those scared me. Like, if any of those scared you, let me know in the comments.
Goldfish Crackers just launched a limited edition rebrand of their classic snack, changing the name to Chilean sea bass crackers. The rebrand is aimed at older consumers to remind them that their favorite childhood snack isn't just for kids. And this is part of multiple well-executed marketing campaigns by Pepperidge Farms. There have previously been limited edition Old Bay seasoning goldfish, Frank's Red Hot Sauce goldfish, Dunkin' Pumpkin Spice goldfish, and Hello Kitty Strawberry Shortcake goldfish, all of which have been aimed at having the snack grow up alongside the consumers who enjoy it, which has worked out really well. In spite of the shrinkflation accusations, goldfish sales have continued to surge, and Goldfish sells about $1 billion worth of crackers annually.
Facts that will mess with your perception of time. Sharks are older than the rings of Saturn by hundreds of millions of years. If you were given $10,000 every single day since the pyramids were built, you would only have about 6% of Elon Musk's entire wealth. To give a clear picture of the difference between a million and a billion, a million seconds ago was a little over a week ago. A billion seconds ago was the year 1990. Jimmy Carter was the first president to be born in a hospital. Obama was the first president born under the same American flag he served as president under. Harriet Tubman was born in Thomas Jefferson's lifetime and died in Reagan's. There were Greek playwrights who wrote shows nearly 2,000 years before Shakespeare was even alive. Follow for more.
And they say turtles are slow. Tell that to the fish. Whichever half of the fish you can find. Meet the alligator snapping turtle. These dinosaurs are the largest turtles in North America, getting up to 250 pounds. And as most people know, they're famous for their bite. But I don't think people understand just how unfair they actually are. Basically, they sit underwater perfectly still with their mouth wide open, waiting for some dumb fish to make a mistake. Not to mention, they could sit underwater for an hour straight because they can breathe through their butts. Flex. But they don't need that much time because they also come equipped with bait, which is their tongue. It looks like a worm. That's diabolical. They just get suckered into nature's little trap, which closes with a 1,200-pound bite force. That's the same as a polar bear from a turtle. Moral of the story, if you like all of your fingers, maybe don't mess with Bowser. And as always, follow for more facts.
Facts that will blow your mind. Daniel Radcliffe was allergic to Harry Potter's glasses. Wasabi avocados don't ripen on trees. Olympic gold medals are only partially gold. There's only one flying mammal in the world. You need 10 years of cheesemaking experience to even apply to become a master cheesemaker. You're most likely to die on your birthday. Your dog is as smart as your toddler. McDonald's serves spaghetti in the Philippines. Google was nearly called backrub. Follow and comment below which fact blew your mind.
Do you think like a psychopath? If you can answer this riddle, what's really fucked up? Imagine there are 3 children. The first child loves makeup and has always dreamed of being a hairstylist. The second child loves sports and has always dreamed of playing football. And the third child loves music and has always dreamed of being a famous singer. Fast forward to Christmas Day and each child receives a gift. The first child receives a hairdryer and a hair straightener. The second child receives a football. And the third child receives concert tickets to see their favorite music artist who's on tour during the summer. Yet when the children receive their gifts, they all start crying uncontrollably. But why are they crying? Let me know your answer in the comments and quickly send this to a friend because you need to know if you're friends with a psychopath.
I mean, I guess I'm not a psychopath because it sounds like they all got what they wanted. If you guys know, put it down in the comments.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 5. Despite if you're using incognito mode, Wi-Fi routers actually keep logs of what websites you visit, and the owner of the router can check this whenever they want. So hopefully you don't have anything to hide. A woman in Russia had a shit ton of twins, triplets, and quadruplets with the same man, totaling to 69 children. Nice. Tarantulas taste like shrimp. According to some cannibals, the most delicious part of the human body is the eyeball, and they especially like licking them. The skin on your lips is the same skin that's on your butthole. Dolphins sometimes bite off the head of a fish and masturbate into the decapitated body. A bubble caused by false vacuum decay could be growing through our universe right now, destroying everything it touches, and we would have no idea because it travels at the speed of light. 2020, please no.
Facts that will blow your mind. The winner of the North American Wife Carrying Championship gets their spouse's weight in beer. Pizza Hut used to buy more kale than anyone in the US. Divers found the remains of a 27,000-year-old giant sloth stuck in a sinkhole. A flock of ravens is called an unkindness or a conspiracy. In Michigan, you're never further than 6 miles from a body of water. Cell phones are illegal in one West Virginia town. A grizzly polar bear hybrid is either called a growler bear or pizzly bear. Oysters can change sexes. Follow and comment below which fact blew your mind.
The Rarest Things in the World, Part 33. This extremely rare piebald moose was photographed in someone's backyard in Norway last winter. Only 1 in every 20,000 moose is born with this stunning genetic skin mutation. In 2021, identical twin couples gave birth to baby boys at the same time, making them quaternary multiples, which means they are full genetic siblings from identical twin parents. Although technically cousins, the boys are genetically brothers. Svalbard, Norway is the only visa-free zone in the world. This means regardless of citizenship, anyone can work and live there for as long as they want. What were we talking about? The Harvard Art Museum has an amazing collection of the rarest colors in the world. The sources of these pigments include the ground-up shells of extinct insects, toxic metals, and wrappings from ancient Egyptian mummies. One of the colors is a yellow pigment originating from dried cow urine that was only fed mango leaves for its entire life.
Point 911, what is your emergency?
Yes, this is Jesus Christ, and I just broke into the Pizza Hut. I broke the window in. I'm here. Jesus is here now. He's back to earth.
All right, and so you don't work there?
No, I just broke in. Had a pizza. I'm Jesus.
And what was your name again?
My name is Jesus.
What's your last name, Jesus?
Christ.
Okay, and what do you look like?
I look like Jesus. What else do I supposed to look like?
Why'd you do that?
Because I'm Jesus. I can do whatever I want. We're tired of Judases on this earth. We're going to clean this earth up. So what are you up to?
Well, where do you live at?
I don't. I'm from heaven.
How'd you get over to the Pizza Hut?
I'm from heaven, sir.
Okay. And did you break a front window?
Yeah, I broke the door window, sir.
And did you eat a pizza?
Yeah, had a Mountain Dew.
The police say that Jesus, also known as Richard Lee Quintero, was found inside the Pizza Hut, actually eating that slice of pizza and drinking that Mountain Dew. He was taken into custody. He is now charged with breaking and entering.
Ain't no way we had the return of Jesus before we had GTA 6. That's insane. But nah, that guy's crazy. I don't know what he was off of that day to make him think that he could break into Pizza Huts and claim that he's Jesus Christ to the cops. And like, what? Yeah, I don't know. I saw that the other day and I was like, what? Someone in the comments said it's the Trump UFO. I was like, what the hell? Me personally, I do not think an alien spaceship would have a literal English letters on their hovercraft. You know what I'm saying? So I think it could have been fake, if I'm being honest. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts about these videos down in the comments.
Thank you all.